In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, Tony Dunn, a.k.a. The Professor. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night, these homeboys chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Jump in the car on the way to the game with us, or should I say this week, on the way to training camp, as we look at the latest headlines for training camp and the news that and storylines we should be following as they pop up, and we're monitoring it live from Twitter. And it's like being there. So tonight's show is Yoo DJ. We need more training camp, and I'm here with my co-host Cody Lashney. Welcome back to the C3 Panthers Podcast, the longest running Panthers podcast, my friend.
Tony Dunn, you already know there's nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than sitting right here chilling with my boys, with the most lit Panther fans in all of YouTube, man. You know them, you love them. There are longtime favorites: AJ, Lizzie, 10, Tizzy, NC Hager, 22, Sideshow Rob, Philip Carson, Joey the Black Panther Esquivel, 89 J Stubbs, Craig Cartner, Sideshow Rob, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number is 252-228-5098 to call into the Cat Calls line. You can leave a message. We'll respond to it live on the air. And we'd love to hear your opinions about training camp coming up, or what you think should be the focus as this training camp unfolds. The number is 252-228-5098. And go ahead, smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, tell a friend about the show. Tell them to help us grow Panther Nation together, just like CK does with us each and every week. Welcome back to the C3 Panthers Podcast.
I'm glad to be back. And it is, listen, we got to see some players walk around and do some interviews. That's it's better than what we have been dealing with for a couple of months here. So we're winding down. We're getting there, guys. So football's right around the corner. What's the timetable? How much time do we have before football actually starts?
2 weeks, I think. I saw a game. The Hall of Fame game is like 2 weeks away.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be nice to. It's always nice. You know what is like the exciting part about this is we're in the kind of doldrums of football discussion for the last 2 months. We have fortunately had a little bit extra to talk about because of the acquisition of Sam Darnold and how the speculation, that gave us a little something to talk about. But it will be nice to have something other than just pure speculation to talk about, where we actually get some data about this team and what we should be looking forward to. I would like to remind everybody that tonight's show is it's brought to you by Avolta. They just is Kevin Brown, solar consultant who works for Avolta, is a listener of the C3 Panthers Podcast, and we want to help him out. And he wants to help you out by achieving energy independence. You can add equity to your home, take advantage of tax cuts by adding solar panels, no money down, a fixed utility rate, or electric rate, should I say, because you got to have water and sewage and those other things, but a fixed rate for life, and you make equity in your own home. You need to be a homeowner in North or South Carolina. Kevin Brown, solar consultant for Avolta. Call him at 704-215-3373. You can reach him at kbrown@avolta.us. Tell him you're a Panthers fan, you heard about it on the C3 Panthers Podcast, and he'll give you the hookup. I promise you that. All right, guys. Cody, what are we talking about first? Oh, he's on mute. He's on mute.
Of course, right? Leave it to Cody to be on mute. No, we actually have a pretty good show tonight, man. Of course, we're talking about the start of training camp, but we've also gotten some news. We've gotten some interviews. We have some interesting news that we've been talking about a lot on the left tackle front as it pertains to Taylor Moton, as Taylor Moton is basically saying kind of what we have been saying all along that he's very in play at the left tackle position should they need him to play there. That's certainly something that we have going on tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit again about Deshaun Watson. It's a story that keeps on giving. It truly is. We'll kick the tires on that one more time. And really, we're going to be talking all things training camp. We're going to go over some things that Scott Fitterer said. We're really going to look up and down this roster. And at some point, inevitably, we're going to talk about David Newton again for many of the
sooner
same
or later
that you probably already know, but you can guess. But yeah,
I think it's just time to embrace David Newton, folks. Like, stop the hate.
Anywhere.
He's not going. Oh, there's some fun. It's some wild things. It's a wild ride, folks, from potential plagiarism to just funny stuff, this and that. All right, let's go ahead and begin with Taylor Moton, though. Right, recently received a contract extension, and it was at the 11th hour. I think we talked about this on last week's show that we were surprised that at this point that it got done. Right. So not only does it get done, but then today, discussion as players arrived at training camp became the focal point. The focal point was Taylor Moton, actually. The Panthers put up this story. Darren Gant put it up. Taylor Moton, a cornerstone for the Panthers and his family. News came coming out. I saw a tweet that Taylor Moton had bought land prior to his extension, and now they asked him, like, is he going to build a house? And it's like, basically, it's going to be bigger than it was before. Something to that effect, right? So all of a sudden, Taylor Moton has become the face in many ways of this early stage of Carolina Panthers training camp, right? It's the positive story, the great story, right?
Right.
And so first, I'm actually pleasantly pleased that this is like, thank God this is a good story right now. Imagine if it wasn't the story.
Right.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I am pleased that it's cool that the Panthers are so embracing this and trying to make it a happy, feel good moment for us. But then the talk immediately turns, though, to the offensive line and questions surrounding left tackle position. Taylor Moton, wasn't he asked, Cody, if he was going to play left tackle, I believe?
So Elena Getzenberg puts out a tweet, says, Taylor Moton says he's coming into this season like it's his rookie year. Not sure what position he may play. Says he's ready to go either way. Moton took some snaps at left tackle during OTAs. And I've been someone who has been saying that Taylor Moton might indeed be our best option at left tackle.
You have been saying this for months, bro.
Yeah, I mean, really, if he's able to do it, and if he's the best offensive lineman on our team, and potentially if we have someone, and CK mentioned this, I'll let him speak to it more in a minute, but, Matt Rule alluded to a lot of this discussion is around if we have someone that can play right tackle. Because, again, if they feel like that right side is going to be heavily compromised due to Moton's absence, then they're probably not going to put him there. Joe Person is reporting that Matt Rule would go on to say that Trent Scott and Cam Irving are, key players in this left tackle spot. So it's really interesting, man. I even think I'm at the point, I don't know if I'm there yet, but dude, I really have a strong inclination that Taylor Moton's going to be our left tackle this year.
So one of the things as we continue to build on this, I don't know, I guess the story we've been all chasing is what's going to happen at left tackle.
Right.
Today, Joe Person put up this story on The Athletic titled, What We Learned, Taylor Moton could be the Panthers' left tackle, plus Sam Darnold's focus this summer. We'll get to Sam Darnold momentarily, but in this piece, he quoted Matt Rule, who said, when asked about Taylor Moton playing left tackle, he said, quote from Matt Rule, "We'll put him over there. I know it's a challenge. that he probably would like to undertake. We did a little bit in the spring, but it's hard to do without pads on. We'll maybe give him some reps here and there, and then just get a feel as we go of who the other 4 best guys are. So I think this lends to what Cody CK is going to bring up. But here is what I'm interested in. Is we don't know if Taylor Moton will be the left tackle or not, but we can say from this type of verbiage and talk that they are considering it. Right. It's not like off the tape. They have not dug their heels in and said, look, he's a right tackle. He's been one of the best right tackles. And let's not fix something that ain't broke, which I may be that type of dude if I was the coach.
Right.
But they are leaning a little bit to it is something we need to consider. CK, what have you heard about Taylor Moton potentially playing left tackle?
So if any of you guys have watched the actual press conferences, if you want to call them that, many interviews that they have when these guys just start training camp, the way that and it's probably a smart way to handle this is it's not going to be so much we're going to be putting Taylor Moton at left tackle and he's going to be playing there. He could go to left tackle and be very good. Right, he can be very good and still play right tackle because it has so much more to do with if he's good at left tackle and if somebody's as good as him at right tackle. What they're not going to do is make a whole if there's somebody who's half as good as Moton is at left tackle, then but nobody even close to being as good as him at right tackle. Well, then they're going to keep him at right tackle and then let that person who's half as good of him at left. So, I mean, it has so much more to do with, the talent around them, who they've got there, and which is why I believe he's not going to be playing left tackle this year. I think this is more of a challenge and an idea of what he's able and capable of doing at left tackle. I mean, you have these guys, Cam Irving, and I'm not saying that these guys are the answer, but that is what you brought them in for was left tackle depth, and that's what they're going to offer. Now, whether they can play right tackle is going to be the big question.
That wishy-washiness, in a way, it's a wishy-washiness, right? To me, is that so we're going to try to see if he's great at left tackle, but if he's not great at left tackle, but a guy is close to being as bad as he is, but worse than he is on the right, then that just sounds like everybody sucks at that point to me.
Right.
Well, the other one last point before I pass the mic is just this is my hesitancy with shifting him to the left is that his skill set, his knowledge, his play, his comfortability have all been built on playing on the right side, right? Those steps that, you know what I'm saying? And that there's a large degree of muscle memory that's very important to athletes, is like repetition. So I don't know if it's just something that's so easy as let's go give him a couple of reps. And if he's awesome, it'll be great. What I think they need to do is decide if he can do it and they want to do it quicker, sooner than later.
Right.
Because then he can start to practice the position. The worst thing that you could do, I think, for a player that's probably changing position is give him a couple of reps and then, you know what, let's try this other guy, go back to the right.
Right.
And you don't really believe in it and learn it. You don't know what's going to happen. Go ahead, Cody.
I feel like we kind of have to accept that reality anyway, with so many unknowns on this offensive line and so many.
I just spit my drink out.
Yeah, right. But listen, shout out to the funder of all Panthers podcasts, man. You know him, you love him. 89 J Stubbs. He says Moton will start at right tackle and have to play left tackle by week 3.
Yeah. That's probably
very. That makes more sense to me.
That's what I hope doesn't happen. If there's going to be any notion to Taylor Moton playing left tackle, just start him there, man. Let him start against the Jets, who were not very good on defense last year. I don't think they have a ton of edge pressure. To me, there's no better way there's no better time to start than right now. We're going to be playing the Colts and the Ravens during training camp. I think he's going to have enough time to really ingratiate himself to that position. Again, we're going to talk about Trent Scott, Cam Irving. Someone even mentioned Greg Little that was another thing that we're going to mention at some point. Greg Little's putting out videos of him exercising and working out and trying to give everyone the impression.
You mean being a football player?
Yeah. So you forget that Greg Little is still a person who's trying to make this football team and prove that he was worth a second-round draft pick. I know it's very popular for us to just write him off and say, oh, well, he's been a healthy scratch. How many different times? And granted, that's true, but
who's been a healthy scratch so many times?
Greg Little. A bunch of times last season, they just didn't suit him up. He wasn't going healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
No workout video is gonna change my mind until I see it And I'm not trying to shit on the guy. I'm not even trying to shit on him, but like I'm not gonna have any vote of confidence in a player. And I continue to give this to rookies. And I know you don't like my position on this, but it's not that I don't think that they can be good. It's I don't expect them to be good until they are.
Right.
We have it. So like I was thinking about this when the Greg Little video came out that we're going to show later. You know what I tweeted is this is going to be the greatest turnaround. Start if it works. Like if all of a sudden this video is like an indication that this dude's going to come and be a difference maker on the team. It's not a turnaround. It's the beginning. He hasn't done anything yet. You haven't turned around shit. Like I mean, he hasn't done anything to really contribute to this team except for maybe 2 games in his rookie season.
Yeah, he's been a bust. I mean, up until right now, if his career ended, then right now we just had to judge what's on film. There's not a lot of good to say about Greg Little, and most people who are in the know when it comes to looking at film and watching film of his college tape, many people weren't very high on him coming out of Ole Miss. So again, one of the things I've been saying is that we have so many players that have so much to prove, and Greg Little is a true representation of that. He's still trying to salvage his career and prove that he can live up to that pick. And dude, listen, how happy would we be if Taylor Moton, let's just say hypothetically, he ends up being a badass left tackle, and then out of nowhere, Greg Little decides to want to be a halfway decent right tackle. It's like, that's not going to hurt anyone's feelings. The likelihood might not be very good, but shit, let him prove it.
Man, Taylor Moton becomes a badass left tackle. In 2 years, this mug's going to be sitting out. You're going to be Trent Williams on us, dude. Because you know what I'm saying? Like again, we paid him good money to play right tackle, but if we move him over to play left and he's like dominant,
we might be having to.
He might be not coming to training camp next year.
Yeah, we might have another situation on our hands, but
okay, so let's continue down the line of these stories, and the line of the stories does continue on the offensive line itself. Who are these other 4 guys? I mean, Greg Little is, I think, the dude on the outside looking in, but in many ways, or so many people are on this Trent Scott joint, this and that, is I don't know if these do you really believe that the Panthers are walking into this camp thinking Trent Scott can be the starting left tackle for this team for the season? Is that reasonable? I still tell you it's gonna be Cam Irvin. I bet you Cam Irvin beats him out.
You think Cam Irving is our left tackle?
He's gonna beat or right, or I think this is not really founded in any real validity or truth. I'm just so shell shocked from the Ron Rivera era, where it doesn't matter who the best dude is. It's going to be Simone Fua playing guard or whatever. And it's just like these guys suck, and you still were like, we're good. So that's why I think Cam Irvin's going to start. But it's shell shock from the Rivera era. That's it. There's no real.
Also remember when we had Harrison Butker on the team, and then we just let him go, and he turns out to shine for the Kansas City Chiefs. What I'm hoping, and I just
read a story for the Buffalo Bills where Darrell Williams is one of the top tackles in the league.
I tried to tell you, bro. I told you the other night, man. He's one of those guys. Listen, I shit all up and down Darrell Williams when he was here, man. but he has played better as a Buffalo Bill, and I hate that shit, dude.
But that doesn't that go to tell you, like, it's when you have one good player, it's really hard to be good, which is why I think Taylor Moton is that good. Is like he hasn't necessarily had an incredible cast of people. Like when you're and that was some of my defense of Matt Paradis was, when you're the center and you have to worry about everybody's assignments and then everybody just blows their fucking assignments, of course you're gonna look like an idiot trying to cover everybody's assignments for them. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, he's not the greatest, but I mean, I don't think
he's a Trey Boston like player,
right?
Trey Boston plays well on good defenses. On bad defenses, he looks bad.
Yeah, well, we'll see what it is. I mean, hopefully we have a good offensive line this year, and we can see whether or not they play good as at all. I mean, we're going to find out a lot of stuff this year. If our offensive line isn't doing well this year, then our entire focus next offseason needs to be offensive line. I don't care what other that needs to be our priority number one.
Can I tell you another big fear of mine is that David Moore and Deontay Brown are who I think they are, and that's badass starters on the offensive line. But because we have guys that are technically higher up the depth chart, I think that I'm hoping that it's not another Harrison Butker with those two.
I don't think so. And I think we've got a little bit of evidence from last year that says that this coaching staff, that I should probably be doubting my Ron Rivera shell shock, right? Is that I can't put that Ron Rivera shell shock on this staff. And the evidence that I think is Bravion Roy. Bravion Roy came in last year, and we had Bravion Roy, and who was the other guy that went to San Francisco? Kerr. Kerr was the kind of more veteran player. Bravion Roy played very well. Kerr played very well for us, right? But so did a 6th-round pick, 5th or 6th-round pick in Bravion Roy.
Yeah, I think it was like a 6th-round pick.
And I think that he beat guys out at that position last year.
Yeah.
And I kind of think, and maybe Trent Scott lends to this a little bit, right? Wasn't he a later? Sure. And so this staff is not adverse like our old staff in a way to give the young guys a real fair shot. And hopefully the Bravion Roy, the Trent Scott examples are indicative of what could happen if you're right with David Moore and
Deontay Brown. Remember that name, because I think at some point during this season, Deontay Brown will be the apple of our eye, man. Especially if we put him at right guard and we keep Taylor at right guard, because Deontay Brown played right guard for Alabama. So if we get Taylor Moton next to him at right tackle, dude, Christian's gonna feast behind that right side of the offensive line, man.
Who, CK, you're the gamer of the bunch,
right?
Mario Kart. Who was the big giant dude with the shell that with the spikes on?
Oh, you're talking about
King something.
Sorry, Cody, you said it.
Bowser.
Yeah, Bowser. That's what I think of when I see that guy who's going to play guard.
Deontay Brown?
Yeah. Deontay Brown looks like Bowser to me.
He looks like Blastoise, the Pokemon. You probably know that.
No, I don't. Pokemon's after my time, bro.
Yeah, he's just
Bowser was in my time.
Turtle.
Well, that's what Bowser was.
Yeah, it's just a big hulking. Yeah, he's a behemoth. But apparently, even though he's a big dude, he can dunk the basketball on he's like a crazy athlete apparently. So, yeah, I'm hoping
King Koopa or Bowser. Maybe they went by two names. Thank you. You put that up, Matt. That was here. Thank you for being here, Matt. That was here. The number's 252-228-5098. It's the C3 Panthers podcast. We'd love for you to be a part of our community. If you check the show notes out, you can find the Discord link where fans are hanging out all day talking about the latest Panthers news and opinions, just like we are on this podcast every Tuesday night.
Right.
Chopping it up. And next up, I guess we need to just talk about arrivals to training camp. I saw some pictures. Like, so the Taylor Moton is the story that's kind of had a little legs to it today, right? As we search for any tidbit to talk about. Christian McCaffrey arrived yesterday, I believe. I saw one report that like a day early or something to that effect. And I saw Josh Klein from the Riot Report. And check out the Riot Report and the Roaring Riot, right? Another independent news and fan community. I saw him put up a picture of Brian Burns' ride. And he said it was the flyest ride. And I agree, it was a fly ride. I didn't like the front end of the car, though. I'm going to say this is like, yes, it is a super fly car that I could never afford. But I wasn't in love with it. What else did he come with? What did he show? Here it is. The front end. He wore multiple hats.
This video doesn't show the car very well.
Oh, here, maybe I can find it on Twitter while you guys pick up the discussion.
My man Brian Burns is flexing, man. And by the way, I wanted to shout out, people whenever they do really good Panthers content. There's a guy on YouTube by the name of Alex Rollins NFL. I highly recommend. He just put out a video all about Brian Burns and why Brian Burns is set to have a breakout year this year. If you have not checked it out, definitely do it. It's Alex Rollins NFL. Check him out. But yeah, dude, all their cars are banging, dude. DJ Moore has an incredible, nice car.
Right.
Like, dude, these guys are NFL players. Again, like, you're talking between the ages of 21 and 23.
It's just still rookie contract money, bro.
Yeah, they're young. They're rich. They got the badass cars. Like, pulling up to training camp, this is when you're supposed to flex like that, I guess.
All right, I found it. What else? Actually, as I pull it up, what else did you guys see or anything with the arrivals?
So did either of you see this Denzel Perryman story?
Where he got a ticket?
Yeah. So hang on.
This is the Brian Burns car right here. It's a fly whip, but I don't know if I like the front end on it. That's it. I'm just not in love with the front end of the car.
Just to clarify, you're a rear guy.
I guess so. I like the backside. No, I mean, like we all have the things we like. We all like. I mean, I'm gonna love a Bugatti or whatever these fancy shits are. But you got your favorites, and I'm just saying is that I'm not overly impressed with this body style. Period. Brian Burns' body style looks like a beast of a defensive end. All right, what happened with Denzel Perryman?
Yes, I'll play the video. One moment.
Look at this jerk in the podcast, Kevin. My man, look at this. What he said. Tony likes stick shift.
So Denzel Perryman is on his way to training camp, and apparently my man was a little bit too eager to get to Wofford because my guy got a speeding ticket on his way. And listen, man. Yeah, that's how his morning started off. I just hope he's as fast filling those A and B gaps as he is going down the highway, man.
Do we know how much it was for?
It kind of showed.
Like, is there any I know somebody on the internet is. Yeah.
This is how my morning started off.
This video, Twitter video sucks. No, it's impossible.
Oh, she says it right there. She said, "Oh, so back." She said, "How fast were you going again?"
How fast were you going again?
Well, they said
Excuse me. How fast do you think you were going?
I was doing the speed limit.
He changed it. He said I was doing the speed limit.
Oh, he's gonna try to fight it.
90. It says 91. Man, look, we all get a ticket for going 91 on the way to Spartanburg.
See if
you know what I'm saying? Like, you get on those, right? Come on, like, I mean, I know it's a little on the higher end, maybe, but people have been getting. It's a little like if you ain't driven like 85, 86 when you're in a rush. in a
Right.
70,
Right.
then you lying. You lying.
Adam Sanders says y'all act like y'all never got a speeding ticket before.
Exactly.
I know. That's not like reckless to me at all. I mean, is that, hey, look, you know what? When you get caught, and that's it. At least he can afford to pay it.
But he can definitely afford to pay it.
Speaking of Denzel Perryman and this linebacker group, there will be some significant changes, but Shaq Thompson continues to be a fixture of this group. Right? Is that again as a guy like who came out of CK? You said you watched a lot of the videos that came out of training camp today. Yeah. Who kind of, I feel like I said earlier that Taylor Moton is kind of being made the face a little bit, like, hey, of this training camp. It's like the story to start, and he's our guy type player, the cornerstone of the team. Shaq Thompson this team has trotted out Shaq Thompson for the last 2 years now. He continues. Were there any other guys that caught your eye? Because that's what caught my eyes. Shaq Thompson back on the mic, representing, being the veteran of the team. And whether we think he's great or not or mediocre, great, bad, whatever you think about it, this does seem a role that he has played on this team.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So it seems like they had so right now the only people that were, at least that I could find, that were interviewed like a full on press conference was Christian McCaffrey, Sam Darnold, Scott Fitterer, which was a enlightening conversation that I think we're going to have a little bit later. Matt Rule and Taylor Moton and Shaq Thompson. So it wasn't like a tremendous amount of people. It was kind of like the people you would expect, other than maybe getting some of these free agents that are newly acclimated to the team and getting them out there, which I thought maybe they should have done. I guess they probably got an idea of everything they needed with those guys with the initial press conference they did through Zoom. But I mean, honestly, it wasn't like I was sitting there the entire time salivating, waiting for another one, and it was the 5 or 6 interviews, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're trying to get to know this team.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think was why I was a bit disappointed with just the one. With not having any more, was it felt like I need that I don't know who we have as a team right now. And I don't know.
And really kind of their personalities. We don't really know their personalities very well. And it's like, it's
we
just Shaq. All right. Who's the goofy one? Who's the serious one? Who's the one that's pissed that he's in Spartanburg because he's got to sleep in a dorm?
Right.
And it felt vanilla.
You're not wrong.
There's so many questions pertaining to this football team. I feel like this year more so than ever. There's so many question marks. And dude, I'll say this until I'm blue in the face. Everyone has so much to prove, man. I mean, literally, there isn't a player that you could name on this team that doesn't have something to prove this year.
I mean, really, unless you're Tom Brady, you don't really have anything to prove. I mean, every single person that plays in NFL has something to prove.
Yeah,
right now.
I hear it, and that's definitely true. I'm saying specifically, like, okay, if you go through Christian McCaffrey, we all know he's an incredible talent, but can he stay healthy?
Right.
That's something that he has to prove. J.C. Horn has to prove that he can live up to the 8th overall pick, and the fact that we took him over Justin Fields. Again, all of our offensive linemen are having to prove what kind of players they are. Brian Burns has to prove that he is the superstar that we all believe him to be. We all believe DJ Moore is the number 1 wide receiver, and he's going to have to get paid soon. He has a ton to prove. Our coaching staff is brand new. They have a ton to prove. I feel like.
Did you mention Sam Darnold, our quarterback? Did you mention that?
Right. How could I not mention the biggest proven player of all on our roster, Sam Darnold?
Right.
Everyone has a bunch to prove. And shout out to Joey the Blind Panther saying that's why I love preseason football, man. It's like that, especially this year, there are so many questions
Who's someone that doesn't? And look, I know it's kind of a ridiculous thing to say because everybody who's hearing this is going to say, "Oh, well, everybody's got something to prove every year, right?" Who is the one? Name one player on the team that doesn't have something to prove. Like, I mean, because think about it. If you were Luke Kuechly in 2016, did anybody go in there going question marks around Luke Kuechly? There were some things that we believed, whether we were right or wrong about Cam. You know what I'm saying? Like something, but like, is there any position, player, coach where there isn't? Where we've had, like, I guess, exemplified success of what they think it could be. I don't even think DJ Moore is the answer. Oh yeah, JJ Jansen.
I mean, he might be out to prove that he's not too old to do it, but
right again, like he's got to beat this rookie out.
Right.
This Fletcher dude who they shouldn't have drafted, who everybody's like, well, you
is Charlton still who's our punter?
I think it is Charlton. That sounds right.
Yeah,
but we don't. And Joey Sly. I think we kept our special teams guys.
Joey Sly has still a lot to prove. I think our punter did a really good job last year.
But he still only did it for 1 year. So so our answers are the long snapper and the punter.
Right.
We got anybody else? Do we have anyone else that has such a? I don't even think you could put DJ Moore there. And the reason I say that is not because DJ Moore there's question marks of whether he could play and be successful in the NFL. But for me, in fifth year option, I believe he's in his fifth year option or something like to that effect. He's at this kind of deal point. Maybe it's 4 and he's going to the fifth. He's had 2 or 3 1,000-yard seasons consecutive. But there have been questions. Some people think that he starts off slow. Some people have questioned how many drops he's had in some moments. And then really, I don't care about any of those. 4 touchdowns is the most he's had each season. And I don't require him to get 10 touchdowns, but until he gets double-digit touchdowns, it don't matter how many yards and how consistent he is. He won't be in the minds of people as a top receiver. So even DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, you say there's still this looming conversation with his injury. Is there any player that doesn't? We can't even say Matt Paradis. Who the hell is the one guy who's great?
Listen, you can do this thought experiment up and down the roster. There isn't a guy that doesn't have something to prove. Dante Jackson on a contract year. Jeremy Chin, can he be a true full-time strong safety in the NFL?
Was he a one-hit wonder? Will there be a sophomore slump?
Taylor Moton. We just paid Taylor Moton, and all of Panther fandom has been begging for us to pay him. Well, now he has to go out and prove that he's worth the contract that he just signed.
Hype man Loki said Brian Burns is the best. Brian Burns has to prove to the world that he deserves to be on those lists that you put up today. Didn't you make fun of a list and he wasn't in the top 10? And I'd like to. So he has to prove that he's a superstar, not a superstar talent, but a superstar. Hassan Reddick has to prove he's on a 1-year deal. He's got to get the money.
And he only had 1 season of real high-level sack production.
Who would you put Brian Burns ahead of on this list?
Yeah, so a little context to this. Shout out to my man Kevin Boshoven in the chat tonight. These are the Madden rankings for edge rushers. And they got Myles Garrett number 1, Khalil Mack 2, TJ Watt 3, Chandler Jones 4, JJ Watt 5, Cameron Jordan 6, Von Miller 7, Joey Bosa 8, Nick Bosa 9, and Zadarius Smith number 10. And that is a good question. Like, where would you slot Brian Burns right here? Like, we can just.
I don't think he's getting snubbed here. I don't think he's getting snubbed necessarily.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's snub, but I don't think that there are 10 And again, it goes back to that prove it thing, right?
Right.
You know,
That's the point. He needs to prove he should be on this list.
Well, that's the thing is right now, a lot of these names are here just because of recognition, right? Let's be honest. JJ Watt has not played like a defensive player of the year for at least 3 or 4 years.
Truth.
You know, let's talk about it, and then let's talk about
that one's a bit rich. That's the richest number up here.
Let's talk about Von Miller.
Myles Garrett. Von Miller. What's he at? 93.
I mean, he's number 7. He's not bad. Don't get me wrong, but name me a year where you're like, damn, Von Miller is going off.
Well, he missed all of last season with injury.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like there's a recency. You're right. He's getting long in the tooth. These are based on what he did rather than what he's doing. Exactly. I would put you. I agree. Number 5, JJ Watt shouldn't be on this list.
So let's do this. Right.
And I agree with you, Von Miller. I think, and I would say Cameron Jordan deserves to be on this list for his play consistently over the last 5 years
and his availability.
But we truly feel like we're all expecting him to not, be on the decline.
Yeah,
that's how I feel.
Where do we think Brian Burns will end up being next year? Like if he has this year
top 5
that we think that he has, do we think that he's top 5?
Top 5 easy. And I say that because he has done what he's done with no help in the secondary, really, if you think about it. And why that's important is exactly what you saw last year. How many pressures he had is because there were people that were still wide open down the field so quickly because we didn't have corners that know how to play press coverage. We were, that's the problem that we were running into with a lot of these. And so when you talk about number 1, having the inability to double team anybody, because who are you going to choose to double team? And then second, to then now add pieces to the secondary. If Jeremy Chin is back there, I mean, really the biggest question mark is their linebackers, and if they can cover any slots or running back out of the backfield, that's going to be a big part of whether or not Brian Burns does very well. That's where football is so awesome because it is such a team sport, but. Until these guys have an opportunity to play on a team that's going to support them the way they need to, like Cam Jordan's been the benefit of a lot of this. Like Cam Jordan's been on a defense that has been bad, but also very good. And when it's very good, Cam Jordan destroys offensive lines. Then I think once we get that opportunity to find out what we have with our defense, if it is anywhere where we expect it to be this year, Brian Burns is going to destroy this list.
I just hope he's not playing special teams. No more special teams for Brian Burns.
Right.
Again, stop. We have to get rid of. We have Ron Rivera PTSD. That's what this is. I was shell shocked about the offensive line. Now you're shell shocked about Brian Burns playing on special teams. A little talk in the chat room among Panther fans about Cam Jordan, a guy who. Many people either love, don't, is that he's got a lot of character to him. I maintain this is I hate Cam Jordan because he's not on my team. If Cam Jordan was on the Panthers, he would be one of my favorite players. You know what I'm saying? Like I like he's smart. He talks shit, but he backs it up on the field. He ain't scared to talk junk. Like he uses the media. Like he if he was on a Panther, I would have loved him. But because he's a Saint, I not hate him, but yes. Like, this asshole
says the sentiment.
Yeah. This jerk sending us the damn broom when they beat us that year. When they swept us, he sent Cam like a broom and like a whatever.
Bro, that whole team was disrespectful. Bro.
I know, but if I was if that was our team, we would be hyped if we did that to somebody. You would.
Hey man, look, I like shit talking.
If we beat the Saints twice this year. And Brian Burns has 5 sacks, and he sends Cam Jordan like an old man, like a walking cane and a broom. Would you be upset? I would be talking shit to every Saints fan for the rest of my life.
Yeah, pretty much. And I agree with Kevin. He did once call Mike Rimmer's speed bump McGee.
I mean, like, so did we. So did we.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome. All right, why don't we go ahead and move the show along to the cat calls, and then we'll circle back to any remaining stories that we got, and let's see where the callers take us. The number is 252-228-5098. And before we do that, I need to share this, which I thought I had it queued up, and I don't. This show, the cat calls are what? They're powered by Volta. Right. Oh, yeah. And if you want to get a fixed rate on your utility bill, your homeowner in North or South Carolina, and you want to add some equity to your home and achieve energy independence, contact Kevin Brown, our friend. Tell him the C3 Panthers podcast sent you. You got to be a homeowner in North or South Carolina to take advantage of these tax credits, and no money down. You can get a fixed rate for life. Let's get into the cat calls. The number is 252-228-5098. Let's see what you guys got to say.
What are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Boys, you know who it is. It's your boy, Josh from Mass. And,
Josh, what's up, brother?
Man, it's camp day, boys. It's camp day. What a, you know, and I mean, I don't know about down there, but up here in Massachusetts, I'm actually in Cambridge today and at work, and man, the sun is shining. It's like, I'm hoping that's a sign. Hoping that's a sign that beauteous things are about to befall us and our team. You know, looking forward to seeing how some of this stuff shakes out, see who makes it, and you know, I think for me it's probably the same as everybody else as far as position groups. It's probably offensive line is number one to be looked at, I think. I'm also curious to see how Darnold does, at least in the stuff that, you know, people will be allowed to see. But I think it'll also be, you know, telling to, you know, as how he's going to mesh with other players on the team. I think that's also something that you really can't speak to the importance of enough is getting along with the guys and having a rapport and having. I mean, you got to necessarily be friends, but you got to be on the same page. And is it going to be difficult for him to acclimate to that while he's also in a new environment? You know, I'm curious to see how that really works out, because I think if he gets comfortable around his teammates and whatnot real quick, then I think that bodes very well for his future development and his future performance. I'm kind of interested to see the defensive backs, kind of interested to see if Dante has continued, you know, working on his craft. I mean, you assume he has, but I mean, has it paid off? I think a lot of us want to see J.C. Horn.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I also want to I mean, can we just place a bet? Like, I don't think Greg Little is going to be on this team come week one. I think he's going to be a camp cut. I don't think there's a way around it. I don't think he makes the 53. I don't think he gets put on the practice squad either. I think he goes somewhere the hell else. I don't know. I don't know where, but he's going to go somewhere else. Falcons will probably pick his bum ass up. That's the kind of shit they do down there, you know?
No.
But I'm out of time. I got to get in here and fix this washing machine. Y'all have a great day. Hope to hear it on the show later tonight.
Josh from Mass, much love. Appreciate you, brother. Hey, before we go, jump into what Josh said, Gotta make sure we never miss the love bombs, man. Earlier, 89J subs again with the 199. He says to me, Shaq got the most to prove. It's time for him. Again, man, that's the experiment that keeps on giving. You can go up and down this roster, and you can't really, in my opinion at least, find one player on this roster that doesn't have a ton to prove. And again, so like you heard Josh right there mention Greg Little. A lot of people don't think Greg Little is even going to make the roster this year, and it's not too far fetched for people to believe that. The man has been bad. Again, it was a healthy scratch.
You don't even have to say bad. We don't even have to talk about just what he's done poorly. You could take away all that. Say we didn't even take any of the bad into consideration. What has he done anything good yet? Has he you know what I'm saying? Is that this is I don't even want to talk shit about his play. It's just he ain't done nothing yet, and it's year 4.
Yeah, but for Greg Little,
right? No, year 4 or is it year 3?
Well, I believe it's year 3 for Greg Little. Yeah, because we drafted him. No, that was Marty.
I thought we drafted him in 18.
2000
was McCaffrey 17?
No, 2018. Yeah, 17 was McCaffrey. 18 was DJ Moore, and then 19 Brian Burns.
DJ, yeah, but who was number 2? Who was the second pick in 2018? It was Greg Little, wasn't it?
No, Dante Jackson was the second pick in 2018.
I swear this can't be. Are we truly saying? So people are ready to give up on Greg Little after 1 year? I feel like he's played 3 years in so far.
Yeah, 3. So, yeah, I guess
this will be his 4th year, I think.
Yeah. So he hasn't been good. And everyone, like, that's not an overstatement. You know, he has not been very good. And,
Kevin says 2019, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, so that still makes it. No, this is 21. Never mind. So
yeah,
30.
So, yeah,
okay.
3 or 4. I knew it was something.
My fault. That's my fault. Yeah, but is there another team? You know, you almost want to. It would be a fun. Maybe we should make this our one of our short video drops. Cody, is what team in the NFL has a roster where every single player has something to prove? Is there another team that doesn't have one guy walking into camp where you're like Aaron Rodgers, boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're sitting there going, oh, Tom Brady's got something to prove. Or, pick Tristan Wirfs or whatever. No, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they have somebody who they think is amazing. You know, like a top talent in the league. Is there anybody in the league that has? Are we the only team in the league that doesn't have a player like Brian Burns and Christian McCaffrey are the 2 right there? I would say is that if you're going to argue against this thought experiment, it has to be those 2 players. But I still don't even know if that's even accurate yet, because Christian McCaffrey might be the one that's the least touchable.
Moneybag Lawson said Jeremy Chin didn't have anything to prove, and Christian McCaffrey. I said earlier that McCaffrey has to prove that he can stay healthy, because again, whether you like it or not, it's a trend that whenever people get paid at the running back position, normally they start to incur a bunch of injuries. And that doesn't happen with everyone, but it does happen to a lot of running backs. And then Jeremy Chin, the sophomore slump is a very real thing. And we're trying to move him back to his position at strong safety. So
this is all right. Spooked by the Doors right here is that this is the easy answer. So when I go to sports trivia, AJ McMurphy's on Wednesday night with my boy Clip Brock, who I also go on Pirate Radio Live every Friday with him. But he has these questions. It's the hardest sports trivia in the history of the world. It sucks. But they have at the end, they have kind of like a Stump the Schwab game where it's like, name the 37 teams that have won the championship for baseball or so, and what you do is you create a list and there's 5 teams and you go around. So it would be like, how many College teams have made bowl games in multiple years at this, whatever. So you make a list and you say the names you're most sure of early before other people. Like, so you always say Alabama first, right? Or blah, blah, blah. Is that, and he put Houston up here. Houston is the one we know for every question that has to do with shitty football right now is the easy answer. They have assumed they've taken over the role of dumpster fire from the Dolphins and from the Browns. And they are the turd of the NFL at this moment.
Maybe the Lions. I think the Lions is probably another team. I saw somebody.
They made okay. I'll give you that.
I saw Jacksonville, which I thought was the man that was.
I don't believe that. There's somebody on the Jacksonville roster that's good. And Cody Lashley would say Trevor Lawrence. I don't have nothing to prove.
No, dude.
He's the great. No.
Oh, dude, he has probably more to prove than anybody right now.
Yeah.
All right. So can we get to? All right. So can you run through the call real quick? Because then I have another dovetail pivot.
What? The
Josh's call. Because we did say before we get into the call, and then we had a 12-minute discussion about what team has no player.
He was talking about the dynamics of the football team. He went on to say that doesn't think Greg Little is going to make the roster. It basically just kind of mentioned all the things that we're still wondering about with this football team, the dynamics. Is everybody friends? Right. Are they going to be able to come in and if they have any differences, put those aside and be able to play complementary football? I think it was Trent Scott last year who was getting into fights with Derek Brown at Fan Fest. Like,
really?
Things get chippy, man. Especially when you're in the middle of training camp. These guys are back in dorms for the first time, and who knows how long if that hasn't been something that they've done in a while.
It's semi. Is that a ridiculous thing or is that a cool thing? Yeah, is it ridiculous that they make them stay in a dorm? It's kind of like a team building exercise, right? There are some positives to it. It's like, hey guys, we're gonna focus, we're gonna be together, we're gonna live together, we're gonna eat together, we're gonna hang out together, we're gonna become a team. And you're also going to revisit your glory days of college. Sneak in the bitches, sneak in the Is it a good thing, bad thing? I think it's actually, maybe I'm a little nostalgic about it. I think I'm kind of cool with it. Make the guys, what is, I'm not saying you should make them sleep on a cot. Bring that dude in a good mattress for whatever sponsor you are with, Carolina, and give them that. But I do kind of like the team building exercise. But on the other hand, too, these guys are super professionals. It's not like playing video games is really what they need to be doing to focus for football.
Yeah, I agree with Sideshow Rob. Team bonding, it's that camaraderie type of feel, man. It's like you're literally going away to camp. I imagine it's also cool to kind of get away from your family and friends. Like you're away from your normal home environment. It's meant to just purely get you into the mode of football. So yeah, I'm into it. I like it. It's not very long for us, I don't think, especially once we open the new facilities down there.
I mean, this might be the last year.
So they all should enjoy it.
Are we that close to this facility being built?
I believe this is the last.
It's like 2 years. Maybe it was. Yeah.
I believe.
That's a good question.
I believe it was a longer project.
CK,
what's up?
Can you shame these fools? 64 watching.
You read my mind?
35 likes on YouTube. 65 watching on YouTube. 35 likes. Come on, guys. Hit them. Take away this comment so we can see him do it, Cody.
Motherfucking subscriber shame.
Shame on you, folks, for not just smashing a thumbs up button. Turn your phone to the vertical mode or portrait mode, I believe is the easiest way to find the thumbs on a mobile, at least on my Android it is. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher. Tune in, retweet on Facebook or retweet on Twitter, like on Facebook. We're there doing our thing on Periscope. Or is Periscope even separate from Twitter anymore? Or are they just the same thing?
No,
I feel like they should just integrate.
Yeah.
Like, why is there even a separate app at this point? It should almost just be the Periscope feature in Twitter.
I think that's what it is now. They bought it and they're getting ready to rebrand it, I think, at the end of the year or something.
Okay.
I want to say I read something like that. Joshua says 2023 opening for a new facility. So maybe we might.
So one more year. One more year.
One more go.
I do want to thank everybody for their support. You can call into the show at 252-228-5098. And a lot of people in the chat room, which this is a very rich and lively chat room for people that are listening. If you're listening to the podcast later on, and you want to see where some real good conversation is, this chat room is always popping. And a lot of these guys are reminding me there are a lot of bad teams in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm not trying to dump on our team either by saying there's a lot to prove, because I like a lot of players. But I just don't even know. There's not one thing that we don't have some sort of question around. And but it turns out there are a lot of shitty teams in the NFL. They reminded me. So there are a lot of other fan bases at this moment asking potentially worse questions than we are. Let's go to the next call.
Hey guys, it's Nick from up here in Mass. So,
Nick,
news just dropped today that Chris Hogan just signed with the Saints due to Michael Thomas being injured. Now, this is kind of news to me because I know that after he left the Panthers, he went back to go play lacrosse this year, and I guess they just signed him. So I'm curious to see how that's going to affect his schedule between the two.
I think he's done with lacrosse.
Maybe he got benched from lacrosse because he wasn't any good. Who knows? But you know, that does affect how week two plays out. I mean, he didn't play too much for us. I think he only played like 5 or 6 snaps. But
yeah, injuries.
In terms of a wide receiver, he's actually halfway decent, or at least he used to be back when he was in New England. So there's that.
Didn't he play for us for a second?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The Deshaun Watson rumors started back up again.
Yeah,
and I gotta ask. I mean, what do you guys think? What message do you think that sends Sam Darnold if Carolina's still asking about Deshaun?
Hey, there's no way they're actually.
Love the show, guys. Cody, I'll see you guys Friday. Keep pounding.
My man, listen, Nick Montiero has been my de facto co-host of the Friday Free-For-All, which, by the way, shameless plug, every Friday at 7 p.m., you can join me on the Friday Free-For-All, where any of you can come in and make your voice heard and have a discussion and join me live on stream to talk about anything you want to pertaining to Panthers football every Friday at 7 p.m. Shout out to my guy, Nick, who's been there every single Friday. Make sure you check those out. And, yeah, again, I've said it before. This is the headline that keeps on giving, really, because it doesn't seem to go away, and it's not going to go away.
Cue bad jokes. Jokes.
Yeah, cue the many numerous jokes on it being a touchy subject or how the story might rub you the wrong way. You know, there's a lot of different ones to be made, but you know, I'm going to be a totally mature 31-year-old human being and just leave the towel on that one. But basically, and I'll even put up the poll. I put up a poll on Twitter yesterday just to get people talking.
Let's see it.
And, yeah,
can we see it?
For
I
sure.
want to see it.
So again, feel free to roast me. Blame me for how stupid I am. I'm just, hey man, I'm trying to get the vibe, see what everybody's feeling. If this was the trade that went through for Deshaun Watson for the Carolina Panthers, again, this is minus criminal charges, right?
How
said
is I don't see that in the poll. Where does it say that in the poll?
Well, no, the Panthers would receive Deshaun Watson. Well, I didn't say that in the poll.
So you said granted minus criminal charges, and then you read the poll, but you didn't put that in the poll.
Yeah, I did. I definitely didn't put that in the poll. But this is my hypothetical.
And you know what? He put plenty of poll into that. Oh.
I see tons of jokes to be made, folks. But again, roast me, flame away. I said, how would you feel if the Panthers received Deshaun Watson for a 2022 first-round pick, a 2023 first-round pick, CMC and Dante Jackson, and with a resounding 64.2% of the vote, people on Twitter would say hell to the no to that deal. And Tony, it appears as though with all of this, weird news and allegations hanging around Deshaun, that even that kind of talent is a bridge too far. And granted, it was reported before I pass the mic here, it was reported that Carolina did indeed reach out to Houston, for what it's worth.
I am actually, to be honest, given the way that this is even more slowly playing out, like the story got so much momentum. I don't know. I was trying to come up with something good. I didn't get it fast enough. But I mean, it like started out as like because he's asking for the trade, it becomes such a hot story, and then it becomes it's like on fire because of what happened. But then it's died down, and it has become a long one. And the way is that there's been really no announcements by the league or developments that we've heard really in the case, which makes it even more uncertain, I think. And I was surprised that there were 35% of the people that said yes to this deal. I think that is the surprising part. And I wondered, what do you think the poll results would be if Deshaun Watson didn't participate in this poll 22 times?
Yeah, dude, I think if it was just
that was a little good. Come on.
It was. It put a smile on my face. I appreciate your attempt. Listen, Deshaun Watson, regardless,
he's not gonna. Do you think he's gonna? How about this? Let's start about this before we talk. And we're not gonna talk about really this being a trade or anything, like, you know what I mean? Because at this point, it's crazy speculation. But do you think he's gonna play this season?
So everything that I have been hearing, including from Ian Rappaport, would indicate yes, that the NFL is not in the business of determining if someone is or isn't guilty. And as of right now, until criminal charges are pressed against Deshaun Watson, he is more than likely going to play. He's not even on the commissioner's exempt list yet.
Were there criminal charges pressed against Greg Hardy?
Dude,
or was it just civil?
So long,
he settled. He settled out of court. She redacted and retracted.
Yeah, I think she had criminal. Yeah, it was a physical assault, right?
I want to know if there. All right, so Tin Tizzy says yes, there were criminal charges filed. Okay, so if they were filed, I guess that slightly changed. I did see a story where I thought that some of these people were going to file criminal charges. I find it very hard to believe that the NFL, after all of their stance with domestic violence and what do you always call it? Signal virtuing that they do. And I don't think that, like, virtue signaling. Yeah. But I don't think that, I'm not trying to say they grandstand all the time. Like, and I think you need to be against a lot of things, like, and, kind of draw a line. But if you really turned a blind eye to this story, I mean, they're like, you're trying to tell me there's no disciplinary action, zero. And if that is the case, if there's zero disciplinary action, then the NFL is either turning the blind eye, sweeping this under the rug, or trying to hope that nobody cares, or this is one of the most kind of vicious reports and character assaults on Deshaun Watson.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like it can't be either or.
Well,
you know, it's like something happened, and it might not be as bad as some people want. It could be worse than some people think. But to act like nothing happened is saying that all these reports are patently false.
For what it's worth, Deshaun Watson and his legal team are refusing to sign non-disclosure agreements. So Deshaun, basically what that means is he wants to be able to talk about this. He wants to be able to tell his side of the story and be able to clear his name whenever it comes time, however he might go about doing that.
Right.
My question is this. Let me pose the hypothetical to you, right? Let's say Deshaun never faces any criminal charges. They end up settling or whatever. Point being, this all goes away. Are you telling me that this story is enough? And no judgment either way. There is no wrong answer to this. Is him even being connected to this story a bridge too far?
In what manner? Like to be able to be worthy of a trade?
Yeah, let's say that David Tepper wanted to bring Deshaun Watson here. But there is another possible quarterback move that we could make. I want to bring up a little bit later. But since we're talking Deshaun right now, if Deshaun Watson became the new quarterback for the Carolina Panthers and you knew that he wasn't going to face any legal trouble resulting from this, how many of us are opposing to it?
I mean, it's as far as the price of the trade, I still am not fond of, you know, regardless of if we could predict the outcome. The way that we're building our team is that right now the price of an elite quarterback, it's really hard to win in today's league, right? It's hard to keep a team together after paying a quarterback elite type money. So I'm not entirely fond of the idea of taking on his contract and losing the draft picks. I mean, like that's the part that's tough about it all is we're not just taking on a contract. We're also losing the potential draft picks of having rookie contracts for anybody else we trade away. So I'm still not, it's still a little bit too much. I mean, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the offseason before we traded for Darnold, I would have probably been, yeah, I think it's worth it. But now that we're this way, I mean, we're clearly building this the way that we are. I just don't think that there's any chance that we do that, or I don't think it's a good idea either.
Okay. I think this is that I don't know if I'm ready to even go down that road, Cody, of whether it's a bridge too far. I'm still hung up on the idea of whether or not, without any criminal charges, whether he shouldn't face any disciplinary action.
Right.
And I do agree. I've always been very cautious with a lot of players and saying, let's let the legal system play out before we make a judgment. But if this is prevented through financial means, right? Yeah. If criminal charges were prevented ultimately by making people happy.
Yeah.
Right. Is that means that criminal charges probably should have been brought if the person won a giant millionaire. I mean, and so if there is a $22 million settlement among 22 women and 22 non-disclosure agreements, but zero criminal charges, and there's zero penalty for him with the NFL, like not even a 2-game suspension, I am going to say this is that then I ain't ever going to buy any punishment the NFL doles out ever again. Oh, you're trying to tell me this, like you fail a drug test for weed and you get a 2-game suspension, but you and like this giant, right? I mean, this is Cody, aren't you a Succession fan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I finished the whole thing. I watched all of it in the last month. Right.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of the scandal with the cruise ship, and the millions of dollars of NDAs. But that's the same thing. And so is that it doesn't matter if no one, that doesn't take the stink of it off entirely. And so I would have less problems with my team bringing in that person than I would with the entire. Actually, I would have problems with all of that. Is that like a complete blind eye turn to? I just think it's just so bullshit how we get so pissed about something, so pissed about this, and then we don't get pissed about this and this and that. You know, so we ruin players on this podcast for getting a speed. Look, we were talking about a guy getting a speeding ticket. I mean, we weren't talking shit, you know what I mean? Like, we're pretty cool, but like that is like, oh, bad character. You know what I'm saying? Is how about who's worse? Who was the guy that got in trouble where his girlfriend came and he was doing a threesome with his brother? We talked about on this show.
Earl Thomas.
Yeah, Earl Thomas.
Earl Thomas. You know what I'm saying? This is that like this is should Earl Thomas like Earl Thomas would be the better dude if this turns out to be the case. Like if the Deshaun Watson stuff was true, is this and that, is Earl Thomas story is less bothersome. And that story was weird as shit.
It was very weird.
Again, shout out to 89 J Stubbs for the 199. He says 10 more girls coming out every day. Time to move on.
I think there's too much risk associated with this, and I would not be surprised if he's on the commissioner's non-exempt list before this is over. I would not be surprised.
So, I wanted to bring up another quarterback thing that's in the news, and get your guys' opinion on this, right? So,
Rod.
Yeah, SCK knows where I'm going with this. So it is now being reported after all the hullabaloo and all the BS about Aaron Rodgers wanting to be traded to Denver or, you know, you name it, anywhere else. That more than likely is not going to happen at this point in time. Aaron Rodgers is coming back. He's going to play one more season for the Green Bay Packers, and then he's going to do the Tom Brady thing, and they're just going to line up a trade or whatever. They're going to get him out the door. Okay? So this has me thinking, right? So we're all wanting Deshaun Watson at a point in time because of the talent that he represents. But if we were going to pull the trigger on Deshaun, we would essentially have to do that before ever getting to see what we actually have in Sam Darnold as a player, right? So what about this idea? Let's say Sam Darnold plays this whole year and our worst nightmares come true and he is the exact quarterback that he was with the New York Jets. And we whiffed and we brought in Sam Darnold and he isn't the guy. But now, potentially, we might have a chance to trade for Aaron Rodgers, which I believe at that time he'll be, 37, 36 or 37. So he's getting older, but again, it is one of, some say maybe even the best quarterback in the NFL. So, again, we're kind of going far ahead here. This is assuming Sam Darnold doesn't do the job. But do you think the Panthers in that scenario would be interested in trading for one Aaron Rodgers? And would you be interested in Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback of your football team? Whoever wants to jump in.
I guess that this all depends upon the asking price. So this new deal that Aaron Rodgers signed, it was essentially going to give Aaron Rodgers more control over what his future looks like when this offseason ends. Let's talk about the hypothetical.
Supposedly there was no additional money.
Oh,
that's what we heard.
Actually made a little bit of cap extra. Yeah, they gave him a little extra cap for this year.
There was some sort of I guess one he gets to dictate who he's traded to.
Is there like a no trade clause type of thing?
It's a trade, like he has to. He can tell them who he can be traded. Like he has to approve it. Yeah.
I mean, let me ask you about the hypothetical in that case. Because right now, I mean, they're all kind of under the assumption that he's going to be gone. Based on his performance last year as an MVP, reigning MVP of the league, what is the asking price?
So what I'm hearing is that you can copy and paste any of these three names, and the asking price is about the same. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, yes, even Deshaun. Are going for 3 first-round picks and players.
There's not a soul on this planet that's going to trade for a quarterback his age and give away 3 first-round picks. He's a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but he is old in comparison to other opportunity. I mean, other quarterbacks in the league. I mean, can you guys? Is there anybody in this chat right now that would say that it's worth giving away 3 first-round picks for the next 3 years? That would be potential, building blocks to build on. And we're taking on a contract that's elite.
I think we are maybe inflating what it would take to get him next year. I hear.
I'm just saying
that might be the asking price, like right now, if you did that today. But I have not studied the contract revisions, but I've just listened to some talk radio, Dan Patrick and some stuff in the morning. And from one of the things I think this does is makes this year the last year that the Packers have control whether or not he's there.
Right.
So he can sit out next year and force a trade, and that would drive the price down. So I don't think they're going to get the kind of bonanza load of picks for him. I think you get reasonable. I think it'd be a little bit better than Matt Stafford trade, because on top of that, he has to go out and be another MVP this year. If he has a season that's 3/4 of last year, what's everybody gonna say?
Exactly.
He's on the decline. All right, so that's one point I want to make. The other point when it comes to whether or not thinking about him in Carolina. So let's take away the hyperbole of 3 picks and other players. Say you can get him for a first and a player, or 2 firsts or something like that. Say it was a reasonable trade. What would Carolina need to be this year to indicate that would be the over-the-top move? And I think this is, number one, we would have to have a pretty good damn team. The Bucs were 7-9 before Tom Brady got there. So they were 1 game under 500. I think we would have to be over 500 and in spite of Sam Darnold. That would be the circumstances that not only were we good, right? We were kind of just over. I think we would have to be 9-8.
9-8.
9-8, and Sam Darnold sucked.
I think we would have to be 9-8.
That would be. But what if you're 9-8 and Sam Darnold's okay? Are you really that close? Maybe not. What would be the signal to you that we were close enough to go make the move?
One, I would say the defense. If our defense has the kind of year that we're basically predicting them to have, being a very aggressive, I even see us being a more blitz-heavy defense this year potentially than we were last year.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be a lot better in our defensive backfield. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And then again, I think it also depends on, again, me and you were talking about rookie receivers here, but we don't know what's going to be of DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson because they're both going to need new contracts. So a lot of it depends on potentially if Terrace Marshall and maybe even Shi Smith become a fixture on the roster and be one of these players that, again, you shake your head, but I say a dependable option at receiver. I think that's a big deal. I think Christian McCaffrey having another big year like he did 2 years ago would probably be another important piece for him.
Can I tell you what I think it has to be?
Yeah, sure.
I'll tell you this right out of the gate. Right now, Aaron Rodgers is unhappy with this staff and they have Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams. All right. The one piece that I think he would probably be more impressed by and be more appreciative of is if our offensive line plays well. If our offensive line plays well, then we are we have a lot of pieces right now. Like whether or not Robbie Anderson's here next year, I don't think he will be. Unless he has some crazy year. But even if he does have a crazy year, like we're not going to be able to afford him and DJ Moore, and DJ Moore is clearly going to be the priority between the two of those guys. But even with DJ Moore and with the potential that Terrace and Shi Smith present, I think that it would have to be our offensive line, because right now our wide receiver, the weapons are there. Christian McCaffrey's, assuming he still is Christian McCaffrey that we know and love this season, he's going to be something that draws him in. I mean, he's already got those pieces over there at Green Bay. So whether or not our offensive line is going to be the biggest piece of the question mark.
He's had a piece. He's had a decent offensive line and a piece in Adams. I smell collusion in Green Bay. That's what I smell.
Between collusion. Adams and Rodgers?
Yes. I think they're both out of there together.
I don't think it's collusion. I think it makes sense for Adams. Like, let's be honest. I mean, he's seen what they have as far as a backup quarterback. And does he want that to be his quarterback, or does he want Aaron Rodgers? And right now, with that question mark, why would he sign a long-term deal to be on a team that he's not really sold is going to be very good?
That's collusion. They're colluding together. They're going to get together. They're like, we're blood brothers. They spit on their hand and shook their hands and they said, we out of here. We're going to be Colts. They'll probably both fucking be Colts before
they
we
both
know it.
put on their Instagram the Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen fist bump from the Last Dance. So yeah, they've definitely been coordinating with one another to be on another team. But hey, man,
CK, you're exactly right. Is why would Devontae Adams even? I mean, yes, would you want to be the highest paid player? But you're going to be the highest paid player arguably next year too if you don't get hurt. And Aaron Rodgers is trying to become the best quarterback in the league. So it's like they're both on contract deals. Right. Both of these guys, they're the best of the business. They're the best tandem, arguably, in football. They're certainly the most successful in the red zone out of any combo.
Yeah.
And these two guys got something to prove.
Yeah.
I mean, these mugs are making, and imagine if you're Devontae Adams, you sign the 5-year deal and Aaron Rodgers walks, and then you're just in a misery. Like you said, CK, like he's seeing.
Real quick, once again, shout out to 89 J Stubbs for the 199. How would you feel if we landed Stafford instead? Again,
I think the only negative with Stafford was I think a lot of us would have been very pleased with a move from Teddy Bridgewater to Matt Stafford. So I don't think it's whether or not if that's an upgrade or not. It's just Matt Stafford. We're talking about a win now kind of mentality when we talk about that Aaron Rodgers in the future, right? Like that's the piece you would add. The Matt Stafford trade cost enough in capital to it kind of being a win now trade. Like the Rams didn't get Matt Stafford for him to be good for 3 to 5 years.
Right.
They got him to be good for the next 2 years with the hopes he could be good for 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Like they believed that they were a piece away. If we got Stafford and we gave that up, we'd still be pieces away is what I think.
Yeah, I think so too, man. And it's also very telling that was our first choice. That was our first choice. If it was not for the Rams coming in and giving them the exact deal that they were looking for, he would be a Carolina Panthers.
Right. What would have been the plan then? What do you think would have been the plan if that was the case? Because I feel like that would be a bad move because it's a lot of expense with a kind of a short-term payoff. I think the Darnold move is actually interesting because it kind of has a low risk, high reward scenario to it.
Right.
The Matt Stafford trade would have been lower risk certain. I mean, it would have been you were a lower higher floor. But is the payoff for what you put the money on the table really worth it?
Yeah, he has a. You're still kind of hoping that maybe Sam Darnold has a higher ceiling than Matthew Stafford. And let's be frank, that's what we're all.
And that might be part just time too. It might not even be like what they are at their best. You know what I'm saying? If you compare Matt Stafford's best season to what we think may be Sam Darnold's season, Matt Stafford's may very well still be better than that. But the time is shorter for Matt Stafford.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot shorter for Matthew Stafford. Again, that was I actually think Matthew Stafford's probably going to have a good year this year playing for the Rams.
The Rams are trying to get in it right now, homie.
Yeah,
they ain't trying to fuck around. Like, they're trying to do their thing. And the Cam Akers torn ACL hurt them, man.
If we had the kind of roster that the Rams do, and we had the coach with the pedigree that the Rams do, then I would be much more excited about Matthew Stafford if he was on this team. But I think Sam Darnold is in the perfect scenario, roster situation for him to do all the things that he wanted to do with his NFL career.
He has an opportunity to resurrect his career more than Darrell Williams did in Buffalo. All right, let's go to the next call.
What's up, fellas? This is Corey calling in. It's been a while since I made a call, but I just
What's up, Corey?
Talk about something y'all was talking about last show. It kind of tickled me a little bit. It's nothing big, but y'all going over the safety position, and Cody was reading off the roster, and he was talking about our safeties were old as fuck. But bro, you were reading off the jersey numbers, not the age. Like, bro, you know damn well we ain't got nobody that's 37 or 42 years old on our team. We're the youngest team in the league. But
I didn't hear that. Is this on the podcast or the free for all?
I wasn't reading off the jersey numbers. We got some old dudes.
And y'all did talk about Kenny Robinson for a quick little second. I'm not gonna, put too much faith into him, but if anybody on our team could step in and be that next free safety for the foreseeable future, it's definitely him. If anybody doesn't know his story, man, like he's a really talented player. He's 22 years old, went to West Virginia, and balled the fuck out. Like, he was first team all Big 12, had like defensive touchdowns, interceptions, the whole 9 yards. Ended up getting kicked off the team for academic fraud, and had to go to the XFL to basically pay for his mother's medical bills, I believe. And he even bought out on the XFL too.
Yeah, that was a story a year or two ago in camp or whatever.
So safety's gonna be weak, but I mean, I'm not gonna bank on Kenny Robinson being that guy. But if anybody can be that guy, I feel like he has potential, and at least the youth and the athleticism to kind of step in and see if we got anything in that position. But I just wanted to call in, man. I thought that was pretty funny. You know damn well ain't no 42-year-old or no 37-year-old on the team playing safety. But appreciate it.
I say that there was a 42, 37?
I hope you're not. And if I missed that, then shame on me for missing that too, because Burris is 28, and he is the old dude in the squad. And really, the point that Cody's trying to make is that, again, a lot of questions.
Right.
And a lot to prove. I like Sam Franklin. I think Sam Franklin is kind of like the safety version of Jermaine Carter Jr. It's like when they've stepped in and they've called their number, they haven't been that bad. You know what I'm saying? These guys are itching to prove something. Justin Burris, though, is the slated starter, it feels like. And again, we're talking about continued question marks. Not question marks, questions surrounding the team. Not like any of these players themselves are a question mark, but what are we strong enough at safety to maintain through injuries? Can a guy like Kenny Robinson or Sam Franklin step in despite only being potential at this moment? And someone put up this is Panthers Buzz FSU said that the Panthers potentially have a better roster than the Rams. And I don't want to over argue to this, because I think there is a lot of talent on our roster. I'm excited a lot of players, but they definitely most certainly pass the is there a player on your team that there are no question marks or nothing to prove easier than we do? Because one, Aaron Donald happens to be the best. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, at the very minimum, is that Aaron Donald has nothing to prove.
No.
So I don't really want to fight this point. My logic against the point is not to say that one example, but we've been continuing to try to find, these parallels that we've been making.
Yeah.
Cody, how old am I?
How old are you?
Yeah. If you say 42, I'm gonna bust you in your face. Next call. Numbers 252-228-5098.
What's going on, C3 Nation? It's your boy Jay Anderson hitting y'all up. Training camp is here.
Okay.
It's basically been 2 years since the whole, since they've been back to Spartanburg. So it's going to be different. It's going to be hot as hell. So whoever going out there, make sure you stay hydrated for real. Stay cool.
Right.
I ain't care if they having training camp at 8:00. It's still going to be hot because Spartanburg is hot like no other.
This might be the hottest place on the East
North
Coast.
Carolina, man, if you driving down 85 South, man, please be careful. I would say take a detour. Once you get inside of South Carolina, man, just hit, if traffic ain't that bad, just hit exit 106 and drive on down to Highway 29. It'll take you right to Spartanburg. You got to avoid all that traffic because there's some bad traffic there. So other than that, man, I'm going up there to see what's going on at training camp, see what happened and everything. Want to hear what y'all favorite moment of training camp that y'all been?
Ooh, great question.
What did y'all see while y'all was out there? I remember, of course, I remember the
What's
whole
your
Cam
worst
Newton
one?
and Josh Norman whole situation. And the media got on Cam so bad, and it was like Cam and the boys was like, man, ain't nothing. It's just football and everything. But what's y'all favorite moment? All right.
Appreciate you, Jay. So I've never been to Spartanburg. I've never been to
It is the hottest place in the world.
Yeah,
it's not
It's
easy.
miserable. It's miserable. It's the armpit of hell.
The one that jumps off for me is definitely the Cam Newton, Josh Norman tweet that went around of them fighting at the time. Hey, shout out 89 J Stubbs. Gonna end up cutting good players. Benjamin. I hope not, but again, thank you for the donation. Again, so as somebody who has not been to a training camp at Spartanburg, like if I'm thinking of just memorable training camp moments, obviously the first one that jumps to my mind, Cam Newton, Josh Norman going at it. And also, I don't remember the timeline of events. I don't remember if that was before or after Kelvin Benjamin went down for the year. I think it may have been before, but I just remember in that whole offseason, especially after Kelvin Benjamin went down, like nobody was expecting us to do anything that season. So I think that competitive grind between Cam Newton and Josh Norman, I think that was an indicator of things to come. So it might be the easy answer, but that's probably the one I picked.
So one of the first training camps I think I went to was 2015, right? And we kind of didn't know what was happening at the moment. I think it was 2015. I'm pretty sure this is when I met like Lynn Leonhardt and the girl gang, right? So a lot of people showed up there. We've been talking on the internet, on Twitter, on the podcast and stuff, and people have made a lot of friendships and bonds, and they actually met each other up at training camp. We took pictures together. You know what I mean? Like, it was fun. It was like nice meeting people that you would talk to and this and from afar. And one of the cool things about that training camp too was we not only were there for a lot of the camp, but then we rode back to Charlotte together, and I stayed an extra day and stuff like that. And we went on and my wife and stayed with our friend, so like a trip that was supposed to be good got longer and better. And we went on one of those private, Deshaun Watson's masseuse. But we went on like maybe 10 or 12 of us went on one of those private tours of Bank of America, where they show you the locker rooms, they show you the suites, they show you the press box. You get to go look at the field on the you can't step on it because they used to have real grass. Now we could all probably just go do grass angels in it or something like that. But in a fun time, this was when they also put the first year they put the statue out of Richardson and the Panthers and the Cats. You remember? That was the year they unveiled that, so it was brand new. So we got this tour of the stadium. Was fun with a lot of cool people. Like, we're having a great time. And in the heat of the moment and the excitement of the moment, I climbed on top of one of the Panthers and took an epic picture right beside Jerry Richardson on top of the Panther. And the Panther security came out immediately and said, "You got to get down from there." It was a good picture. That was my profile pic on Twitter for a while. That's one of my good training camp stories. And I think also that may have been the same year that planted the seed for one of the best moments in the podcast, which I still can't find the audio. I've been looking all over my computer as you were talking. Devin Funches said his favorite food was salad. And the salad boy concept was born.
Classic.
In that training camp. I just also saw Devin Funches was in the news recently. None of you saw it?
No, I didn't see this.
He caught like a football dropped out of a helicopter from like 700 feet.
He broke a roll record.
So, yeah. And how about this? And then immediately the tweets came out. It was like, "Why didn't you catch that for us?" I was like, true.
You knew that was coming too. Like, it wasn't even.
I know. I mean, but true statement is this: is a man who that would be like Ted Ginn going in and setting that record for us, for anybody. Right. I would be so pissed. I'd be like, "Motherfucker, you can catch this football that's been thrown from the moon, but you can't catch a 60-yard bomb." Anyway, all right, let's move.
We'll go ahead and play that, and then after.
All right. Next call.
We'll show this.
Hey, this is Kevin from Charleston. So I was on the Cody's little thing on Friday, and we had a
free for all
interesting thing where I asked, "Who do you think is going to have more touchdowns this season? Our tight end Arnold or Terrence Marshall Jr.?" Everyone said Arnold, which surprised the hell out of me. But I was wondering, what do y'all guys think about that?
Yeah.
And also, I would like to ice up Cody, just like Tony did, for giving the Beastie Boys shit.
Oh,
all right?
Lord.
Like, Cody, what's going on, Cody? Like, what are you on? What are you drinking? Are you drinking that brass monkey? That funky
monkey?
Junkie? That funky
What
monkey,
is that,
bruh? What the hell, bruh?
What is that? Actually, so as I've talked all week to people about you and this Beastie Boys, like all my friends, they come and hang out at the pool, like this and that. I'm like, man, you would not believe this, homeboy. An interesting point someone brought up to me and actually supports my statement and maybe can inform your opinion a little bit, is that first album, Licensed to Ill, was intentionally, it was like parody music too at the same time. Like they knew they were fucking making fun of frat boy. You know what I'm saying? There was an element of intent behind some of that, right? And so there was a sort of Little Dicky-ishness to it. And by the way, if y'all don't listen to Little Dicky, you fools, bro.
You know
wrong, man.
You know what the difference between Little Dicky and the Beastie Boys are?
Don't say it.
Little Dicky actually has bars.
Has flow. Flow.
Unlike that Dr.
No.
Seuss ass one fish,
shut
two
up.
fish,
Stop.
red fish, blue fish bullshit. Y'all are talking.
I muted him. I don't want to hear it. I muted him. The first time I've ever. Oh, and he unmuted himself.
Unmuted, dude. I don't care if I'm so wrong on this, bro. I don't care if everyone hates my opinion.
You are wrong. You should care if you're wrong. That is wrong. You cannot care if you're wrong. Like if you're not, like you cannot say I don't care if I'm wrong.
I don't.
You can't say that.
Maybe I
if
am
you're
wrong,
you should care. And you are wrong, sir. And I agree with that. Is that brass monkey?
What? I couldn't hear you, bro. Were you saying something?
Oh my! Oh!
What?
Oh! Don't double charge me. Don't double charge me, because you might just find. Nah, that's a Little Dicky line. So I just turned my boy on to Little Dicky. Yeah, I mean, he had heard some of the stuff. I said, look at this shit. You got to watch the videos when you listen to his songs. Like, if you don't watch the videos when you listen to his songs, you're doing yourself a disservice. You get half of it. But I showed him that pillow talk joint. Have you seen that one where the little brain comes out?
The music.
It's called
video?
Pillow Talk. It's 11 minutes long. Go watch it after this show. That is all of y'all's homework. Because this Pillow Talk, and he's like, so I said, look, this dude is the dope. It's so funny. He's so smart. He got this. He's like, and I played it to him. He's like, the first 45 seconds good. You can see his face. He's like, this beat ain't that good. This and that. And then it just drops. And he's like, oh shit. And he fell in love.
What's your favorite Beastie Boys song?
Brass Monkey.
Brass Monkey?
Yeah.
That's
that funky junkin'.
What
yeah, that's
album
my
is that?
favorite.
Do you know off the top of your head?
License to Ill. My very first tape anybody ever gave me. I can tell you the first 3 tapes I owned. The first one I got was License to Ill. I got when I was 6. This 11-year-old kid gave it to me. John. Start with C, his last name. All right. And then I got my next tape was Public Enemy single. 911 is Joking Your Town. And if you ain't ever heard that, that's some real social warrior shit right there. I mean, like these people are I mean, that's like KRS's one. Whoop, whoop, sound of police. 911 Joking Your Town is like of that. And then my third tape I ever got. Now this is funny. Foosh Nickens and Shaquille O'Neal dropped the single together.
Bars, I bet.
Bars. Oh, it's awesome.
Fire.
It was.
By the way, real quick. Got this dance that's more than real. Drink Brass Monkey, here's how you feel. Put your left leg down, your right leg up. Tilt your head back. Let's finish the cup. If that is not the most simplistic, like, dude,
I think it's about frat boys getting shit faced.
If you listen, this is my thing.
We're not talking about.
If you look at
the number's 25222.
I guess I'm just gonna handle it from here, guys. The number's 252.
You better cover both muted, bro.
No, he muted me back.
Yeah.
I said this. I said, let's go to the next call. I thought I had it, and this mug muted me back.
No, I muted you, bro.
Oh man.
I'm going to take away your privileges, young man. All right. Let's go to the next call. The number's 252-228-5098. That was funny. And just like this call ain't playing, it's not funny.
Hi, this is Steve from Myrtle Beach calling. How you guys doing?
What's up, Steve?
I want to talk about the running games for the Panthers. I'm looking at the numbers for 2019, and the opponent has over about 400 more yards rushing than we did. And last year, they did 200 more yards than us. So I hope that we have some better run blockers and defenders coming in. The linebackers is going to be very important because we need to definitely improve our run defense, especially. That's one of my concerns. Now I want to talk about the Panthers offense. Now, we're all worried about Christian McCaffrey getting too many carries and too many runs, etc. Well, he had 1,387 in 2019 rushing and 1,005 receiving yards. I would love to reverse that and do 1,000 rushing yards and about 1,400 receiving yards. I think we have enough running backs on the roster now, including Hubbard and the other new guys, and especially our new tight end staff. And I think they can definitely make up the difference there and keep Christian more healthy and get him more involved in the run game. I'm sorry, in the passing game. I think they may need to keep a little more running backs in this case, and they may need less receivers to help this work out, because Christian's going to take a lot more receiving yards than he did last year, of course. That'll keep him healthy and happy and keep the team looking good. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the new season now. You guys all have a great day. Bye-bye.
Fantastic.
Whoa. What did he say at the end? Oh, he said, have a great day.
Yeah.
What did you think he said?
Okay.
Oh, God.
I don't even know what you heard.
Back to the running game is that
I think he thought they said something. He said something negative about the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, totally.
yeah. I bet that's what it was.
I muted it. I missed the end of the call. No, I'm just kidding. The running game though, he's talking about how our run defense, right? He was not talking about he was talking about how people rushed against us. So that's the rush. Imagine, and he was saying improved from 2019 to 2020. 2019, fucking atrocious. Only, 2018, 2019, Panthers run defense, though abysmal. And it looked like it was going to become that way last year. Imagine the improvement had Whitehead not started any of those games. I mean, think about it. Is our run defense got better when he got taken out? I mean, it's just like the whole defense got better when he got taken out. In fact, one of those plays, there was one play that somebody broke one in a game and for 100 yard, like a 95-yard touchdown against us. And remember, we played that play and it just like Whitehead, they snapped the ball and he just randomly threw himself into a pile of bodies. Like he just looked like he had he didn't know what he was doing. He just was like, I'm just going to throw myself at these people over here. And it was a complete wrong decision. It's like, you didn't even look. Like you just out of sorts. So imagine our run defense, that number was 2-something. It might have been, we might have had a positive number rushing against their defenses had Whitehead not played.
Terrell Whitehead was just all around terrible for our defense.
Where is he at now? Do we know? Did he go anywhere?
Hopefully at home. Hopefully he's probably setting a record with Devin Funchess somewhere for the most tackles of a donkey.
But then to have to go to Luke Kuechly to him, man, that's just such a steep drop off. But yeah, no, tremendous call. I think we have a bunch of different ways to get Christian McCaffrey more involved in the game plan and more involved in the passing attack, while also lightening the load and not running him into the ground, a la Ron Rivera. Again, you talked about it earlier, Tony. We might still be dealing with a little PTSD from that Ron Rivera, Marty Herney era. And I think that we're still hoping that we're not seeing the same sins of the past repeated over and over by us continuing to just abuse Christian McCaffrey. I think that Christian being healthy is pivotal to our game plan and our identity on the football team, because he's a weapon in the running game and in the passing attack. So him getting going means that we're going to be able to do both really well. So again, I love having Christian on the field. We all do, but he has to stay healthy. And if we're going to run him on 97% of the plays like Ron Rivera was, that's unacceptable. And regardless of how much money he makes, that isn't a recipe for career trajectory.
Slideshow Rob said should we pick up Tahir as a backup? I'd almost be more comfortable picking up Colin Jones at this point than. And there ain't a player on this podcast. He's on the top 5 of players I don't want on my team.
Right.
Or
right.
Pollen Pones, as Pat Coltrane calls. But like, I mean, damn, is Tahir Whitehead played 6 games for us and entered the conversation of some of the most players.
I wouldn't trust Tahir Whitehead.
I know you're trolling, Slideshow.
I wouldn't trust Tahir Whitehead to pick up the garbage in front of my house, dude.
Colin Jones played for this team for like 17 years, it felt like. And Whitehead played for 6 games, and it felt like 17 years. Yeah. All right. 252-228-5098. Next call.
Yo. What's going on, y'all? What's going on, T3, Panther Nation?
What's the deal?
Swiss. Y'all
Swiss.
might see me in the chat and shit. My name is, it would say Swiss 94. But what's going on, y'all? I had to call in. And
Thank you.
Man, it might be a long call. I might have a 2-call right here. I know y'all don't like that, but honestly, I think y'all
well, get to it.
Y'all be disrespecting my boy Dante Jackson way too much. You have to tell me why you don't like him. Legit, why you don't like him? Like, what's the issue? Is it because he isn't the number 1 corner?
Who did he say?
Draft him to be, though.
Yeah, I didn't.
Hold on. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Dante Jackson.
Dante Jackson.
You have to tell me why you don't like him. Legit, why you don't like him? Like, what's the issue? Is it because he isn't the number 1 corner? We didn't draft him to be, though. Like, we had a number 1 corner. Your boy Hurney let him go. Now we playing catch up to make up the difference. That's why we drafted the number 1 corner. That's why we didn't get Rashawn Slater. That's why we didn't get Justin Fields, even though we wanted him. Or whoever wanted him. We got to play catch up. And if you go back to that last month of football that he played like a number 1 cornerback. Let's go back to the game with the Broncos.
That's a little rich.
He was matched up with Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy had 941 receiving yards this past year. Dante held him to 2 catches for 42 yards that game. Not to mention a big chunk of that was a 31-yard pass the defense gave up when Jerry Jeudy was actually matched up on Rasul Douglas that play. Rasul Douglas got torched that game. So that was the game. He also had 2 catches. Taylor Hamlin had 2 catches for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns against him. It's not that hard. They were throwing away from
this
him.
man is stumping for Dante
Jackson. He's
Jackson.
with Devontae Adams, the best receiver in the
You
league.
thought I was bad.
7 catches, 42 yards. But when Dante was covering him, it was only 2 catches for 3 yards. Now, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers was scared, you know what I'm saying? But if you go back and look at the tape, he's definitely not scared. I'm not saying that. He just wasn't looking that way, though. The tape doesn't lie. He only targeted him 4 times. Let's go to the game after that, the Washington game. Terry McLaurin didn't play. Dante's assignment is Cam Sims. He held him 3 catches for 40 yards on 11 targets, 3 pass deflections. Come on now. I got some more on that Washington game later, but let's go to the season finale against the Saints. Marquez Callaway held him to 2 catches for 36 yards on 4 targets. That's significant because earlier in the season, he went against Marquez Callaway and dealing with the toe injury, and Callaway got him for 8 catches for 65 yards. So significant improvement when Dante's healthy. Here's where I'm going to have to stop and go to another call. But come on, y'all. Y'all got to talk to me. That's number 1 corner.
All right, you go ahead, Cody.
Dude, 89 J Stubbs with the 199 has a pretty damn good answer himself. Drafted the DB with the 8th overall pick for a reason. And I 100% agree with that sentiment. If Dante Jackson was a number 1 shutdown corner, which again we all hope that he magically just turns into, because it benefits us. But if he was that kind of player up until now, yeah, we wouldn't be taking a cornerback over a quarterback with our first pick in the draft this year. So again, man, listen, I was on team. You know, when me and Tony were debating it, you know, I'm on Team Dante, dude. I think he has the potential to have a huge year now that we have better pieces around him. I think our defensive line and our front seven specifically are going to allow Dante to play much faster than he's previously been able to before. And having JC Horn on the other side, that's like, dude, having two dogs that can both run a 4.3 and have incredible ups, can jump. Like, these guys are athletic beasts. And what Dante Jackson lacks in size, he does make up for with that feisty attitude that he has. And that's why I think everyone is so excited about the potential tandem of both JC Horn and Dante Jackson.
CK, do you think Dante Jackson has exceeded expectations, met expectations, or fallen short of expectations?
Met expectations.
Okay. I think that's fair. I don't like this.
He's made the team every year. You know, it's not
Well, he
like
was that second round pick. He better make the team every year.
I mean, are you sure Greg Little's about to make the team?
No. There's Kelvin Benjamin on the team. Is
Exactly.
Bunches on the team? I mean, I got you. I'm not disappointed with Dante Jackson at all, but I also think that expecting him to be the number one guy is probably too much of an ask. You know, as I think he could be a good football player. Like, he has some super athletic ability. He has football instincts. He's kind of got the kind of swagger that you need to play a corner. But he is remarkably undersized. Right.
Shout out to that man that was here for the $5 who just says, "What that bear doing?" Appreciate you, bro.
The idea though is that I am not disappointed. Actually, have not thought that Dante's been a bad player.
Right.
I don't think so. I think that his rookie year he flashed as a ball, as having a lot of potential. Like, there was a lot of excitement that brewed because the hype that came with Dante felt like it was being matched on the field in his rookie year.
Yeah.
Right. And then
how
we
many
get
did he have? How many interceptions he had?
it was like 5 or 6 or something. It felt like 4, maybe it was 4. But a lot of them were every time I saw this on Twitter when somebody brought it up, and they are right. Like, there was a couple of those just meatballs that the defensive line created, and this ball, he was just sitting there going, whoop, and then he can run 4.2, and it was just like, see you later, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? All of a sudden he looked like
he jumps like a
road
million
runner
feet in the air too. Do y'all remember that picture during one of those interceptions? I forget which one, but it looked like Dante jumped 10 feet high to get one of those interceptions, dude.
I think the hype was sort of met with some results in that first season, which fanned a lot of expectations even more, right? Like, it kind of created more expectation. But then we had the whole all or nothing stuff, and it just felt like something, man. The whole defense was funky that year, and for the next 2 years, the whole defense has been funky. And the call, and Swiss is right, is that Dante played well last year when he was available.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the problem now is that first it was, can he meet his potential and can he mature? Now it seems like he matured and now he's getting injured.
Right.
So I don't dislike Dante. I just, again, think this circles back to our kind of thought experiment is he's got something to prove.
Certainly has something to prove. Shout out real quick to the Real Zero Chill. He says, does a healthy Dante Jackson make our secondary better or worse?
I say better.
And
clearly.
Yeah, and another good point. How many defensive coordinators has Dante Jackson played under so far?
Yeah.
How many?
So, okay, he was drafted in the final year of Ron Rivera. So
he was drafted in the final. No, he wasn't. He wasn't drafted in the
Nah,
final
they had
year.
2 years.
No, it was the year before. Yeah, it was the year before. Dude, here
So
we go
he
again,
played,
getting those drafts messed
So
up.
he had Eric Washington for 2 years.
Nah, he had Eric Washington for a year.
No, Eric Washington got 2 years.
Nah, then remember he took it away from him and they co-hosted it the last year.
Well, that's what I mean, but he was still defensive
Ron
coordinator.
Rivera took over it.
He took over play calling, but he was still defensive coordinator, at least by title.
Right.
So I mean,
So
he's really
two,
had 2,
maybe.
yeah.
89 says that we can't make the same mistake with him that we did with Shaq. Pay him all that money too.
Yeah,
that's damn true.
I agree with that.
Is that he like? I mean, I'm rooting for this dude to be a player.
Yeah,
but at this same point, I'm not. Again, a lot of these players, and that kind of goes back to another call that was talking about Terrence Marshall Jr. And I hope he is sensational, but I ain't banking on it.
Right.
And I hope that Dante Jackson can overcome these injuries and kind of fulfill that initial potential that we thought we saw, or that hype we thought. I mean, there's some real talent there, like a natural talent, like the ball hawk. I mean, there's just things that you can't teach. You can't teach speed. You can't teach being in the right place at the right time all the time. So there's something special to him. It's just when will he put it all? When will it all come together? And how much is it going to cost? Here's the back end of the call right here.
All right, I'm trying to be quick at this call, but come on now, that's number 1 cornerback play. What you talking to me? I mean, we can only go off that, right? His last month was pretty consistent. Is the toe thing y'all issues? I mean, Deion Sanders said it best. If you hurt below, you can't cope. But he did. That's toughness to me, because obviously he can't be the fastest cornerback in the league, which he is, if he can't plant his foot and change direction. Sounds to me like a player that wanted to prove himself to the coaching staff. Even though he said he won't try to, we knew he was. New staff, new regime. You got to prove you belong, and he did. Meanwhile, y'all boy Eli Apple wouldn't even practice. Come on now, so don't tell me.
Don't say my boy.
Don't tell me he ain't tough. That's why he made impression on the coaching staff. If you're wondering, come on now, he was out there setting the standard. Don't tell me he's injury prone. He's only missed 5 out of 48 games, and now I'm about to get into legit my biggest gripe. When y'all be trying to like act like him getting interceptions and takeaways is no big deal. You really say, look at the CK. I know you be saying, look at how many interceptions thrown to him, but what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with
it. You really trying to penalize the man for being in the right spot at the right time? What about the one interception Jeremy Chin got this year against the Bears? McFall was understood when he was on the run. Was that not right to him? What about the Justin Bird's pick in the back of the end zone against Matt Ryan? Was that not right to him? What about the pick that Trey Boston? I mean, all the picks that he dropped this year. He was in position to drop those. I mean, come on now.
Hey, listen, I knew from the get-go this call was about me.
He should have had
I'll be
more.
happy to
the game
explain
against
it.
The Cardinals, Dante had a pass ball right below his feet. He could have made a play on that. Trey Boston got a pick in the Washington game right before that. Dante, he jumped in front of Dante to get that. Come on now. 10 interceptions since we drafted him. That's big. That's big time. It's 6 in the league behind Xavier Howard, J.C. Jackson, Marcus Peters, Tre'Davious White, and Kyle Fuller. All of them play on top defense. PFF only gave a higher grade this year to Xavier Howard. Come on now. Come on. I don't we should be praising this. We should be praising the fact that we got Dante. He's literally the fastest cornerback in the league. He's a cool dude. I know y'all seen that video of the team really loving him, like about how he's funny and stuff. We should be praising the fact that we got JC Horn along with him. CK, you talking about the man here to take his job? No, we finally got potentially a force at cornerback. The contracts line up, the ages line up. We can have them for their careers. This is crazy. This is amazing. We should be praising this. I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to show some love because you don't be getting no love on here. Keep pounding, guys.
Keep pounding, man.
So,
CK, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I've never once said him getting interceptions is a bad thing, right? Never once. He's caught the ball when the ball was thrown to him. The part that I was always saying is that we were making a point that he was this great cornerback because he had all these interceptions. When you look at 90% of those interceptions that he's had, it wasn't because he was a great cornerback. It was because he was a good wide receiver and the ball was thrown to him. Like, that was it. Like, it wasn't like, when I watch Dante Jackson, and you can talk about his longevity. I mean, his not being injury prone. He has played in a lot of games. He has not finished a lot of games. That's the problem. You can sit there and say that he's only missed 5 games. You're right. He has, but he's missed a lot of time because he's left the games early. I can't tell you.
And they
how
also
many...
came last year too, where when the kind of production on the field is starting to match what Swiss is saying, but then now the injuries come in.
Right. I mean, and so my biggest thing is even from his rookie year, like when we were like, oh my gosh, he's getting all these interceptions. I mean, even from that point, if you watch him after almost every play, it's like he's limping off the field every single time he has any type of contact with another player. And that's the part that I would say is worrisome to me. Here's what I want to ask you guys. Tell me, and that's Zero Chill's got 100% right. Yeah. Listen, Dante Jackson is one of those players where he gambles, and sometimes it pays off, and sometimes it doesn't. Right. And that's not, I don't think that's a recipe for a successful defense. And do you guys believe we're about to pay him the type of money he wants to get paid when he gets done with this contract? I don't think we're going to do it.
I actually don't think he can really command a ridiculous amount of money right now.
You don't think he's about ready to try to hit the open market? I mean, I think
that, and let's, I want to make sure that first Swiss, thanks for 94 for 2 great calls here. We appreciate your support. And he could be onto something here with this. Is that maybe we don't have to think of it as we have to pay this person so much. I mean, look at Moton was the top 5 right tackle for like the last 3 years, or you know what I'm saying? Like it was like and we barely wanted to pay him. So, I mean, it's not like Dante is going to break the bank necessarily, right? But if JC Horn and him could be complementary forces, Dante Jackson exhibits kind of the step forward he took last year where his defensive play felt more sound.
Yeah.
It just felt more sound last year.
Just felt
more. And that
absent.
is that he was in better position. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, but then right when he's starting to turn around the narrative of Dante kind of being a failed experiment, you know, because like that started to enter the discourse is that Dante wasn't what we thought he was going to be. And I don't even think this podcast has been on that as much. But it's kind of like the Greg Little one, is that Greg Little's narrative quickly became it's a bust. Dante's narrative went from he's going to be the next, he's going to be this phenomenal playmaker to all these concerns and questions. And right when he's starting to really exhibit the opposite of that on the field, injury took place.
Right.
And so you are right. He only missed 5 games, but I bet you 80% of them were last year.
Yeah.
You know, and so that doesn't necessarily help his case. And I'm not saying help his case for us, as actually it might make us more reasonable for us to sign somebody like him. We actually need him to low-key have a good year.
Oh yeah.
Where we believe in
sure.
where we believe in him, but it's not hot enough that someone is going to overpay him and we can maintain him.
All right, here's my question.
That could be ideal.
This is a contract year for Dante. Cody, what do we do with Dante? Week 3.
Well, I know what GM Cody would do.
Whoa, ask me this question again.
I said, what do we do with Dante? Week 3.
Week 3?
Yeah, what are we doing with Dante week 3? If you say anything other than trading him,
we're disappointed in you.
We're gonna pull up your VODs about Curtis Samuel.
I know exactly. This is the second time we've been on the same page, CK.
Why are you saying week 3 though? Like what's?
Because he's going to be looking like he's playing great ball. We are looking like we're not going to be able to afford him. So what is Cody's mantra? Accumulate assets. CK, I felt like this was...
Wait, I got to answer to that. No, I have to answer that because there's a difference. I wanted us to trade Curtis Samuel when we had not a chance in hell.
That's not true. That's not true.
No, it
we were
isn't.
500 when you said that.
Dude, but we knew who Teddy Bridgewater was at that point in time. We were under no illusion of what the rest of the season was going to be, and we were right. So
what about week 5 then?
I was saying trade Curtis Samuel to get the value for him. Since we weren't going to retain him anyway, we might as well have traded him if there was a market for him. I mean, really, I want Swish 94's team, man. Like, I think J.C. Horn and Dante Jackson have the potential to be a nightmare tandem at cornerback for us this year. So, no, I don't know when the trade deadline is. Someone look that up. I don't know when the trade deadline is, but
it's probably week like 7. It's like it's later than week. You know what I mean? There's like you get a good maybe even week 9, 10.
If we have a good record at that point and we're rolling and Dante Jackson's having a good season, yeah, I'm not.
If we start out 0-3 against the Jets, a Saints team without Michael Thomas and Marshawn Lattimore because he's going to be serving 2-game suspension probably, and then you got to play a Deshaun Watson-less Houston Texans with poor David Culley. Poor David Culley has the worst job. There's a segment on the radio show I go on, and they have a poor David Culley segment. It's so hilarious. It's so sad. It's like poor David Culley gets the job of a lifetime, but it's the worst job. Like this, I mean, it's just like there's nothing. It could not be a more favorable situation than what David Culley is in with the Houston Texans. If we start our 0-3 against that nonsense, which I don't, everybody's better expecting we start 3-0. Then you better come on here on record saying trade this mug because it ain't gonna get no better. CK, this reminded me of this. Is I think we asked about a month ago. Who was the biggest loss to the team in free agency? And we all said, oh, we're all on the same page. And we said it on 1, 2, 3. And both CK and I said Curtis Samuel. And you said Trey Boston. And we were like, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, that's exactly what that is.
At least I'm consistent. I wanted to trade Samuel away. Did I not? I said we weren't going to pay him, did I not? And I've been saying that Terrace Marshall and Shi Smith are going to have a good
But you also said that Curtis Samuel was the best thing ever, too.
Yeah, because
you said he was so fucking awesome. And I bet, man, I'm telling you, if I hear this,
Cam Newton
I will buy. I'm buying a Shi Smith jersey. If this dude does not get more than 350 yards receiving this year, you got to pay me back for it.
Dude, listen. What if Cam Newton hadn't ever gotten hurt? And
what does that got to do with Shi Smith?
No, because you're talking about Curtis Samuel. I was very high on Curtis Samuel when he had the potential to be like a deep threat for us. Like our own version of Tyreek Hill is who I thought Curtis Samuel could be. But he never had the quarterback play. This is part of the reason why DJ Moore has 4 touchdowns every year. He just hasn't had the quarterback to help him distribute the ball to get those kind of touchdowns. I think it would have been a lot different for Curtis if he had the quarterback situation, but he didn't. So, yeah, we had to move on from him, and I don't think that it's a big loss now. I think Terrace Marshall has a much higher ceiling than Curtis Samuel, and I don't mind saying it.
All right, we've gone through the calls. Number 252-228-5098. You can catch us every Tuesday night, chopping up the latest Panthers news and opinions. You can catch Cody when you hang out with in the battle royale of Panther fans or the Royal Rumble of Panther fans.
You already know, baby. It's the Friday free-for-all every Friday at 7 p.m. where you get to join the show with me, man. Last Friday we had I think like 9 or 10 people in there at one time, man. We had a bunch of cool people in there shooting the shit, hanging out, talking Panther football. That's your show. So if there's something particular you want to talk about regarding Panther Nation or just the NFL in general, hey, you can come on and you can lead the conversation and do it on the Friday free-for-all, man. Make sure you put that in your calendars. every Friday at 7 p.m. here on the C3 channel. And it will be available in audio podcast coming up here soon, too.
Let's get to the longest running segment on the show, and that is the Ice Up Picks, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. And I hope, and these are not my Ice Up Picks, but hope you guys aren't going to say Trey Turner, who I saw one of the headlines from a Pittsburgh Steelers blog was Trey Turner not looking as good as we thought he was already. I was like, damn. But then I read the article, and they also put his name in lowercase. So,
where you deal with high quality experience.
Maybe I don't know, but I am of a I actually think they're probably right. Trey Turner I think, but missed his moment. There's another. I hope you don't also ice up K1 Short, who's been icing up his shoulder for the last year, and I saw he was cleared for football activities. Was a story that came out a few days ago, and some people are wondering, that was a name that Panther fans floated out over the last couple of weeks about maybe just adding some depth and familiarity. And we do know Matt Rule very, very much liked K1 Short as a person, a leader, and a player. So I hope you guys aren't going to ice those dudes up. I am going to start. How about that? I'll start.
But
my ice up pick goes to all of us who face a moment in life where we think we just can't, we're not going to turn it around. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you hit a precipice of no return to where you just kind of give up. And I'm icing up that feeling, not the people. We all face this in life. You know what I'm saying? Is I'm icing up that feeling that you can't turn it around, can't get it better. And I know this is going to be, maybe kind of shallow in a certain way, but I felt this way in February. I felt this way in December, and my weight had hit an all-time high. And it wasn't like, it's not like some crazy, it's like some people are going to be like, oh man, like you're crying about nothing. But like, I felt like I was at the moment where I was just like, you know what? Screw it. Pass me the potato chips. Give me an extra beer. Let me, like, it's just like, I might as well not even worry about it anymore. Not even care. Not even give it, like, I can't turn around. Well, I fought that feeling, and with some support from some cool people in my life too, went and tackled and tried to start exercising more and eating better. And today I went to the doctor because, like, you got to go if you want your medication renewed. And they're like, we haven't seen you in forever. So they gave me I go in for a physical at Notre Dame. And they were like, oh, damn. In 25th and December 10th of 2020, just what is that, 6 months ago? 7 months ago?
Yeah.
You weighed 225 pounds. Hold on. Today I weighed in at 192, homie.
Aw, shit.
192, and the blood pressure better, like all these things. And and this is like what I just want people to know is this is like I was at like a point where I thought, man, you know what, just persevere, just keep, you know what, the motto, what's the opposite of giving up? We're icing up, giving up, and we're endorsing
keep pounding,
perseverance,
keep pounding.
Oh, there you go.
Keep pounding. All right, pass the mic.
CK, I'm assuming you don't have one, right?
No, I got one.
Oh, okay. Shame on me for underestimating.
Ice up, Cody.
Yeah, ice me up. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So obviously, I've been spending the day listening to the Charlotte media ask questions today, and this could go a lot of different ways. It depends on how I feel as I continue to talk. I first and foremost want to ice up the fact that the media even has to ask the questions about the vaccinations, right? Because the reality is I get that people are curious about it, and like the league is making a big deal about it. So the media kind of has to do it. But I'm icing up the fact that they have to do it because, like, to be realistic, it is nobody's business but the people who are getting it as to why they want to do it, their decisions, right? And when somebody says in previous press conferences that I don't want to have this conversation, I don't want to talk about it, then they shouldn't have to. Well, David Newton, we all know and love him, wants to go into every single interview and just talk about that. That's his entire, like, he's a sports writer, and his entire interview process was talking about the vaccination. And then, like, at one point during the day, during the same interview with Sam Darnold said, I don't want to talk about it. I've already mentioned that before, and shut that shit down. Yeah. Right. And then later in that exact same interview, he goes, basically, David Newton asked the question somewhere along the lines of, so you want to take on a leadership role, but you're not willing to talk about the vaccination. Shouldn't you be leading by example?
That's a good fucking heavy hitter question, bro.
But bro,
no, it's a terrible question.
That's a kneecapper, homie.
It's a terrible question.
Listen. I'm not sitting here saying these guys should be getting softball questions, but I'm just saying, like, when it comes to your own personal fucking situation, like, that's like saying, all right, David Newton, you're required to talk about your herpes on live camera, and that's what you want to talk about.
If Deshaun Watson gave 22 girls herpes, would you expect him to?
No, that's not the same. No, that's not the same thing, bro. No, and you know what? It's bullshit because, like, in and of the question itself, David Newton is insinuating that, oh, hey, aren't you being a bad leader right now?
Right.
Like, hey, bro, he's worrying about way more important shit, okay? Everyone's already doing this anyway, where they're like, well, Christian McCaffrey and Sam Darnold aren't wearing masks, and they're sitting around everyone else. So obviously they're vaccinated. At least that's a conclusion that everyone else is coming to. So if you know that, then just shut up about it. The Panthers apparently have like 93% vaccination rate, which is like one of the highest in the NFL.
Top three. It's top three. I know we were top three. But here's the part. Like, it's an ice up for David Newton again. I know it's low hanging fruit here. But on top of all of this, not only does he refuse to, like, be a good reporter, he then steals other basically steals articles or
this is very important here.
So he has no original thought in his entire life. He has no original thought. And I don't know why I have such a vendetta against this guy, but like Josh Klein, like 3 days prior, or 3 hours, maybe 5 hours earlier in the day on what is today? Tuesday? Was it yesterday? Maybe Sunday. Sam Darnold was doing a Bojangles shoot, and he wasn't wearing a mask, and Josh Klein basically said, based on this, it's I guess it's fair to assume that Sam Darnold has gotten vaccinated, right? Based on the fact that he's around people not wearing a mask. Well, literally like 4 hours later, David Newton basically just steals word. I'm not going to say word for word.
No,
but
it was word for word, dude. It was. Yeah. I mean, it's like it was plagiarism.
Yeah,
just straight 100%. Plagiarism. It was reporting something as it was his thought, and it was totally somebody else. And if there was any change of a word, it was like a preposition. It was not like, that is not paraphrasing. There was no attribution. And go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just to a guy who is already facing scrutiny amongst fans. Like, when you think about, like, wanting people to want to read your shit, like, nobody will read his stuff because they just get frustrated by his bylines at this point.
Everybody's reading this shit though, because I haven't is that, like, we're talking about him. He is, and he did embrace the villain role. Good Lord, he is, bro. I think he misspells people's name on purpose.
So look, since we're already talking about it, we might as well just, like, take this discussion to its inevitable conclusion, because I feel like a lot of Panther fandom is kind of coming to this conclusion right now. And it's basically this. Does David Newton know that he's a fucking troll? And does he know that everyone hates him, and he already knows it? So now he just wants to continue to play in to the rhetoric that he's this dumbass. So again, I'll add this to, since you already started with the David Newton thing, CK. This made the rounds earlier this morning. David Newton.
It's like a long list of David Newton shit in 1 hour.
Panthers arriving at Wofford College for training camp. Christian McCaffrey arrived last night, as he used to with Luke Kuechly. And you know that shout out
Christian McCaffrey.
Dude, shout out Pat Coltrane. I watched Pat Coltrane today.
That's not Christian McCaffrey. Oh.
No, it's not Christian McCaffrey. Dude, Pat Coltrane had the best response today. He said, Dave Newton found the first white boy with big calf muscles and said that was Christian McCaffrey. And
so I didn't even get that. You know, I thought it was funny because what the hell does Luke Kuechly have to do with anything? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't even really make sense. He arrived yesterday like he used to with Luke Kuechly. Like, I ate dinner yesterday like I used to when I was 7 with my mom. I mean, I don't even, but you're right. This is not Christian McCaffrey.
And
it's like it's like security.
Dude,
it's like security. And Crocs.
Dude, it starts to make you wonder, like, how do you not know?
It's on purpose, bro. I love it. I think he's like starting to become my hero. He's like my spirit warrior. Nah, actually, no. Here, look, this is what I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you this real quick. This is what the guy from the Roaring Riot. This is the owner, Zach Luttrell. He founded the Roaring Riot joint, and he put this up. And let me see if I can make it a little bit
click
bigger.
on the pictures, and it'll pop up on the images that you shared.
So this was John Klein's report. I mean, leaning into strangers' cars without a mask on 2 days before training camp seems like a pretty good indication that Sam Darnold is one of the 85% of players that are vaccinated. Players report to Wofford on Tuesday. Look, there's these pictures that it looks like Josh Klein took at this Bojangles. And then here is the Instagram, which I wonder if there's a picture on this. I don't know why he tried to mark the date and the time.
Oh, and by the way, the dude that he tagged, not Sam Darnold.
Shut up.
No, not Sam Darnold at all, bro. At all, bro.
Yes, and yes. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this, dude. No mask from Panthers QB. At Bojangles Promotions, would have to assume he's been vaccinated. At least 85% of the Panthers have been vaccinated per Josh Klein. Oh, wait, he didn't write that.
Josh wishes you would have put that.
Dude, like, he's like the Donald Trump of ESPN bloggers. Like, he's either stumbling into ridiculousness or he's an evil genius.
Right.
He's threading the needle, homie. I mean, the fact that he didn't even get the right Sam Darnold. Come on, there's layers, bro.
You know what I feel like? I feel like he's just like, I just don't give a shit. Like I don't think ESPN's gonna fire him because he's like, I feel like he's on the back end of his career anyway. So just wait for him to retire, be done with it. Like he's not gonna be getting away from that. Like I'll be honest,
probably get more views than any other damn blogger that working for ESPN.
Bro. I get irritated. I won't read a single thing because I'm just so irritated by his comments, dude. I can't. It's like reading. Have you ever read a sixth grader write an essay? Like, have you ever tried to read one of those?
Yeah, man. Like I have kids. So yes.
It's impossible to read. Like it's like you could sit there all day and try to understand it, but you're not going to. I feel like that's how I feel when I read. I mean, I'm over exaggerating. Obviously, he's a journalist and he has some understanding of how to put words together, but at the end of the day, I get irritated by him, and I just can't. I'm not gonna put any time of day into his articles whatsoever.
So what do we got to say to this fool?
Ice up!
Ice up!
And we want you on the show, dude. I want you on the show. This was Cody's idea. We want him on the show, dude.
Yeah,
come on.
No, dude. Okay,
like we have to ask him that question.
Yeah.
Are you trolling? Like we will ask him if we get him on the show. We will straight up ask him seriously. Are you doing this on purpose, or is this an accidental fucking with us?
Panther fans, we are going to try and do
We
our
need this.
damnedest.
Yeah,
We are
this
going
has
to
got to
We are
happen.
going to do everything in our power to get a David Newton interview, and we're going to ask him all the questions that you would want to ask him. So,
And he's gonna come on and he'll be like, "All right, guys, I'm sorry you feel that way about me, but thank you for having me on the Pat Coltrane podcast. See you guys later." All right,
dude.
that's the C3 Panthers
hold on, I
podcast.
didn't do my ice up.
Oh, you got one? I thought it was
didn't-
David Newton. I thought it was David
No,
Newton.
I was gonna do it.
We
but I
all
decided-
piggybacking on that
Yeah,
joint.
I
We all
know. Yeah, we all
piggybacking on
kind
it.
of did. So no, I thought this was a fun one to leave on. Did you see this Deion Sanders press conference that happened a week ago?
No.
Is this for his football team? Is this for his football team?
Yeah, he's the head coach. I
Like
forget
East,
the name of
it's like East, Southeast, something or whatever. I mean, I know.
yeah, it's an HBCU, I believe, and and he's the head coach. And this little,
It's gonna be great. Let's see it. It's gonna be awesome.
This play out, and I wanted to get everyone's advice on it, but also to buy some.
Make sure you.
I'm just wondering if you could.
Hold on, let's back up a little bit. You don't call Nick Saban Nick. You don't call me Deion. Okay.
I call Nick Saban Nick.
You don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's a lie. If you call Nick Nick, you know you get cussed out on the spot. So don't do that. Treat me like Nick.
Okay, Deion. Just
Did he say Dick or Nick?
Sus, you're up.
No,
and then he got up and left.
No, but
Yeah.
if you
Play it one more
you
time.
missed it.
But
yeah, I was just
play it
wondering
one
if you
more
could.
time.
Hold on, let's back up a little bit. You don't call Nick Saban Nick. You don't call me Deion. Okay.
I call Nick Saban Nick.
You don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's a lie. If you call Nick Nick, you know you get cussed out on the spot. So don't do that. Treat me like Nick.
Okay, Deion. Just
You heard him? The reporter doubled down and said, "All right, Deion." And boy,
Bro,
that
is he
pissed
my
him off.
hero?
He might be your hero, dude. He might be.
But
Dude,
I swear he said don't call Nick Dick.
no, he said you don't call Nick.
Play it one more time. He don't say that.
Sus, you're up.
hey, Deion. I was just wondering if you could.
Hold on, let's back up a little bit. You don't call Nick Saban Nick. Don't call me Deion. Okay.
I call Nick Saban Nick.
You don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's a lie. If you call Nick Nick, you know you get cussed out on the spot.
Listen
So
to
don't
the
do
reporter.
that. Treat me like Nick.
Okay, Deion. Just
He doubled
Damn,
down.
he straight Dion then back.
He doubled down and
It
was
sounded like he kept saying treat me
Dion.
like Dick. I was like, damn.
And
Oh my
really,
God.
I'm kind of perplexed because I don't really know who to ice up. On one hand, I could ice up Deion Sanders because I have heard people refer to Nick Saban as Nick before and not just Coach Saban. But also, if that man wants you to call him Coach Sanders, fucking call the man Coach Sanders. Like, what is it? Why is it such a problem? And why did that reporter feel such a need to, like, one up him and continue to call him Deion even after he clearly made it an issue that he didn't want to just be called Deion? Like, the balls on that guy, pretty much. So, yeah, I just think the whole thing is hilarious that Deion even got offended by it in the first place. But then that the guy doubled down in front of him, and he was like, okay, Deion. And just
I know.
ran
I mean,
with
and
it.
that he was fast enough and
Yeah.
quick-witted enough to like not be on as
Right,
like
right.
off kilter.
Bro,
I am.
so disrespectful, bro. So
What
I
was
guess
he
I'm-
supposed to call him? Coach Sanders? You said.
I guess
Okay.
so, man.
Everybody
guess
calls him
so.
Dion though. Like that's weird. I mean, but you're right. That he did.
Yeah, most people know him as Deion, but I don't know. So to this reporter,
They should call him Pride Time. That's what
yeah,
704
who,
show about. So.
who I mean, again, I think it's Deion Sanders, man. You show a level of respect to somebody like Deion. If he wants to be called Coach Sanders, I'm gonna call him that. And by the way, shout out Marcus Ingram. Jackson State University is where Deion is the coach.
You got to see when he was
Coach
announced
Sanders,
as head
probably.
coach. like when he accepted the job, he pulled up in like a limo and like a stretch Hummer or something like this, and then had a marching band with him. It was so cool, dude.
Yeah,
Prime time.
I'm a fan of icing up Dion here.
Okay.
You think he overreacted?
Yeah, I'm like it just. I listen. I mean, he played a good game in NFL, and I find him to be entertaining on like like NFL Network when he does this stuff. But for the most part, I don't think you deserve that type of respect if you're going to command it that way. No. Back up. You don't call Nick Saban Nick. Like, you're not on the same level as Nick Saban. Like, come on now. You're not
yeah, but as a reporter doing a Zoom interview, you probably need to just be cool with it. And it was the comeback, which was crazy, witty, and hard. I didn't catch it at first, and then my main, you know who did catch it? Dion.
Dion, damn sure.
Man, he caught it. He said, "I'm the fuck out of here, dude."
I mean, listen. I'm not as we already said, I'm not a big fan of the media, but at the same time, like, it doesn't mean that they deserve to be treated like shit. I mean, and that's what I mean. Let's be honest. He's in this middle of this press conference, and he's in the middle of, like, come on, Dion, just answer the fucking question. Don't interrupt his question to make a point about how you demand respect from the guy. Like, I mean, just. Like, it's just reality. If we're talking about something, if we're talking about Nick Saban and he's up on the stage and he wants to be called Coach Saban, then that's fine, right? That's okay. But don't compare yourself to Nick Saban when you're not a fucking coach of anything that really matters.
I swear he said, "Treat me like Dick." I swear that's what he said, and that is funny in itself.
There was just a bunch of rhyming words that were all close together at that point. That's why I heard it. I mean, my thing is this: if you're the guy, if you're a reporter, you probably want to ask Deion Sanders more questions in the future, and he probably ruined his shot at doing that. So
I don't know, dude. It sounds like a dude didn't like him at all.
Hey, we'll see. Anyway, ice up, son. That's it for me.
All right, it's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night you can chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions with us, Panther fans. From the fan perspective, hop in the podcast. You can hop in the conversation in YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, Twitter, if it's and all that. The Discord channel is lit. Check that out in the show notes on YouTube. Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe. I'm on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Cody, where they can find you?
At Cody Lack, CODYLAC. Everybody check out the Friday Free for All, the show for you to come on and hang out and talk about Panther football every Friday at 7 p.m. right here on the C3 Panthers podcast YouTube channel. And at the start of August, there will be a brand new mock draft on drafttech.com, where I am the analyst for the Carolina Panthers, and I write first and second round comments. So check me out.
CK, where can they get after you?
You can get at me on pretty much all platforms. Codizzle Allen. Been playing a little bit of this GTA RP. So if you guys are ever interested in checking that out, it's a pretty fun little way to play Grand Theft Auto. Check me out tomorrow night for sure.
All right, man. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week. And Cody, see you on Friday. Yep, sure. And watch out for, training camp on the way. So we'll be dropping content. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell. See you next Tuesday. Good night.
Keep pounding.
Peace.